Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. We'd like to call the board to order, please. With that in mind, we'd like to ask Supervisor Trainer, will you please offer prayer?
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we just come to say thank you. We thank you, O Lord, for the opportunity to gather here, Father, at a great wet day, Father, with everybody that's here in this courthouse. And we just ask and pray, O Lord, for your guidance and your direction, O Father, as we discuss and make decisions on business for your people. Father God, we just have so much to be thankful for. We just thank you, Lord, for allowing us to make it through one holiday season and preparing for the next, oh Father. And Father, we ask that you remember, Father, the family of the county employee, Father, that we lost on this past week, that you touched that family and bless them in a mighty special way, Father. Not only that family, but the other families out there that's going through loss of loved one during this time. We actually bless them in a mighty special way. We just thank you, Lord, for allowing us to be here. We pray that everything that's done this morning be pleasing in your sight. And Father, once our business is done, give us traveling grace to go wherever we may go and find things in order once we get there. In Jesus' name we pray. Let us all say together, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Supervisor Trainer. Certainly would like to welcome everyone that's in attendance this morning to come out and on this very wet day to be a part of county business. And again, you're welcome. Board, you have in your package the approval of November the 2021 board order. Need some time to review that.
Make a motion we approve.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Montgomery, that we approve the 2021 board orders. Are there any questions? If not, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Moving forward, citizen comment period. Do we have any citizens in the audience who would like to come forward and make a comment? Will you please come forward at this time?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Wilma Felmies Williams, and I had spoken to, I went to the Golden Triangle because I was receiving, I live in Illinois, and I was receiving bills from down here on the property that we have on Craigler Road. And I called them and I told them that I was not responsible for those bills. But then before I got down here in this month, they had put a bill in my name. So then I went up there, I talked to Mr.
William.
Yeah, I got my list here. I'm sorry. But I'm a little nervous because I'm not used to being before a big old board. But anyway, I had went to the Golden Triangle and I spoke to Jennifer. And I was telling Jennifer that that property belongs to all of us. It's 8 people on that deed. And she kept saying that it was airland. I said, no, it's not airland. I said, all of us got a deed. So everybody's responsible for their own bill. So she said, no, you're going to be responsible for all of the bills. And I'm going to pull that property and I'm going to put your name on all of the bills. I said, ma'am, you can't do that. That's against the law. The law prevents you from just putting a bill in my name. And so I said, I want to speak to your supervisor. And that's when she gave me Jennifer. Not Jennifer, Dolores Farmer. I think that's you. Is that you? And so I went and spoke with her. And so I was explaining to her what had happened. And so she said she was not Jennifer's supervisor. So she told me that I could come to this board meeting. And she gave me my road supervisor, who is Mr. Williams. And then she gave me Rudy Johnson name, who was Jennifer's supervisor. So then I contacted Mr. Williams and I explained to him what was happening. And then I decided to talk to Rudy Johnson, Jennifer's supervisor, because she's telling me that she has the right to put my name on any bill. So he said no, he would take care of it. So I assumed that he would. So then I called Mr. Williams back and told him that it was taken care of. But when I went back to the Golden Triangle, Jennifer refused to put the bill in my brother Bobby's name. So then I talked back to Mr. Johnson. And he said that I'm going to tell her to put the bill in his name. You all make arrangement to pay the bill. So then I goes back to Jennifer, to Golden Triangle. She refused to put the bill in my brother Bobby's name until I showed the deed. So then we went to the courthouse to get the deed. By the time we got back, it was closed. The Golden Triangle was. So the next day we went back up there with the deed, showing Bobby's name was on the deed also. So then they put the bill in Bobby's name. We paid $600 some and put the bill in his name, and they made arrangement. I gave them a copy of the deed. I gave Rudy a copy of the deed, showing that all of us is on this property. It's just not me. But Jennifer refused to remove my name off of these bills. She put my name on all three of these bills. My sister-in-law was at 1817. My name never was on her bill. At 1823, I lived there 3 months out of the year. Most of the time I'm in Illinois, I live up there because I'm retired. But I'm down here like in November, December, and January. I pay my bill every month even though I'm not there. And at 1831 was in Willie Hopkins' name. 1835, they did put it in Bobby's name, like I said, after we showed the deed. But she turned around and put my name on all of these bills, and she said I'm responsible. So we got the bills in the mail Friday. I goes up there and I talked to Mr. Rudy Johnson, and he said there's nothing he can do, that I need to speak to the supervisors. He said the only way my name could come off if I put somebody else's name on there. I said, well, they're not going to be responsible for nobody else's bill either. So that's why I'm here.
Okay.
And here's the deed.
Will you tell the board who pays the tax?
We all
that
pays the
property?
tax.
But who actually go down and?
I do. I can't but one person be responsible for sending the bill to. I'm responsible for collecting from everybody.
Right.
We all pay the tax because we all are responsible.
That's right.
Who's the executor? In other words, do you have, of the 8?
There is no executive. It's 2.3 acres, and it all is in all 8 of our names. We're all responsible. And there's 4 mobile homes on there, which is 4 people on this deed.
All right, so I'm looking at those 4 right there. You've got 1823.
That's me.
That's you. So that's took care of. 1831.
That's Willie Hopkins. I got the name.
So we're good there. And Mr. Willie pays the.
Right.
Okay. And then Mr. Bobby pays 1835.
Right.
So the one in question would be 1817.
No, all of them are in question. Well, not mine, because my name's supposed to be on mine.
Okay.
They got everybody's name on these bills and my name also. And she's telling me if they don't pay their bill, I'm responsible. They're going to pay their bill. No doubt about that. They're going to pay it. But if they didn't, she's saying that I'm responsible. I shouldn't have to be responsible for nobody's bill but mine.
Let me let the board attorney speak to you on that issue if you don't mind. Cause I think we have already, you and I have talked several times on this. So I'm glad you are here and that you will get the opportunity to hear from our board attorney too. As well. So
is it Miss Williams? I'm gonna make sure I get
yes.
your name. Okay. Thank you, Miss Williams, and thank you for coming today. Before I get too deep in this, I want to make sure I understand something correctly. Are all of y'all's names on the same warranty deed, or
right.
are there separate warranty deeds, or just one?
No, it's 8. I think it's no. Some people it's 6. It's 8 of us. All 8 of us have a deed. It's just not one deed with everybody's name on it.
May I look at that one?
Yes, all 8 of us is on one. Everybody got a deed. Everybody's name on there has a deed. It's just not, I'm over this piece of property. It belongs to all of us. All 8 of us have a deed.
Okay, here's your problem, and I say problem, it's not a huge problem, but it is a problem. When you've got your warranty deed as it's set out, it says we, and it goes into all of the names, and I won't say them all here today, but you know all the names that are at the top. Are you Miss Annie? Who is Miss Annie Turner?
That's my aunt. The land was in her name first. The land was in 3 people's names. It was in my grandmother, hers, and her sister. It was in 3 sisters' names. And then Annie, you have to deed. We split it up. I put it that way. My grandmother passed, and we split it, and they split it up, and we got my grandmother part.
All right. Do you have a deed? One deed with following from this property to your name?
Mm-hmm. We all got a deed. We all got a deed.
This is probably a little bit more complicated than us being able to figure this out right here. When are you going back? Are you here for the time being?
I go back in January.
Okay, good deal. Why don't you and I get together? What I think is going on, and I can't tell by looking at this, but what I think is going on is that whenever the deed was done, everybody's name was put under here with the list of the properties. And so for when the garbage collection people are looking at each thing, they're seeing everybody's name. And it's just like a tax. Whenever they send the tax bill out, it'll have one or two names at the front, and then it'll have something on there that puts, and I guess it's a Latin word, but it means and everyone else. And I got a feeling that that's what's going on here, but I don't know for certain, but I've got a feeling that that's what's going on. And for you to be able to get connected with your property and your property alone, then all of the deeds are gonna have to be broken down. And you may have already done that. I'm not saying you haven't, but I can't tell from just looking at this that that's what's going on.
It's only 2.7 acres. I'm not understanding what you're saying broken down, because it's only 2.7 acres.
It doesn't matter how big the piece of property is. If everybody's name is attached to it, then you're gonna be attached to it along with everyone else.
Right, right, but that's what I'm saying is that everybody have their own deed. It's not one deed with one person over everybody else. It's not like that. It's not no air land. That's what Jennifer kept saying, air land. It's not air land, it's when it's not in nobody's name, but,
It's our property.
It's our property.
no, it's not.
Yes,
How
it
can
is.
it be our property when all our name is on it?
You have to each have an individual description of the property.
That's what
that
we
you-
got.
You don't have, all of it is the same description.
It
See,
looks-
if you put a 2-acre spot of land up on that wall right there, each one of y'all got to have 1/8 of that 2-acre slot and have your own individual legal description. And so you don't have that.
It doesn't appear that you do, but that doesn't mean that you don't. We'll look at it and see if we can figure it out.
I don't
closer.
see how, I do not see by law how somebody can make me be responsible for somebody else's bill. They have their own individual home. They have their own individual address. Why am I responsible for
Well,
them?
I don't know
their
that you
bill?
are yet. Let's look at this a little closer so that I can figure out exactly, because this right here doesn't tell me anything. I don't have enough information by this, but you may be right.
Okay, because all of us have one. It's just not just that one. All of us, everybody on that deed, they have their own personal deed. It's just not one deed.
Had somebody stopped paying the bill at some point?
Well, what happened was that one of the at the 1835 was not paying the bill because it was some confusion. It was in one brother's name, and he wasn't paying it. And then he found out he wasn't responsible, and he went to Golden Triangle and found out when he moved out, he should have literally turned it off, turned the lights out of his name to stop that sewage bill, and he didn't. And they kept billing him. And so he had it taken out of his name, and they put it in my name. So
Now,
they wanted to
that's
make
the
me.
part that
So they want. That's
I'm
what it all
not
got
understanding
started.
is, how did she decide to just pick one of you all out of
She told me-
all 8 and just send it to you? But
She said because they were sending the tax bill to me. So that's how she chose to send the bill to me, and to put it in my name. But like I said, I don't know of any law that can give somebody the authority to put a bill in my name, and I'm not responsible for it.
Do you want that in someone else's name?
It already is. We did, but what the problem
Now,
is,
this is the recommendation here, probably, is you allow someone else to pay the taxes.
what I'm saying,
Instead of you, someone else actually go down.
and that's what.
Someone is gonna have to actually be responsible.
But what Judy,
They can't hold all 9 of you responsible. One person gonna have to be responsible for taking care of that bill and paying the taxes. So maybe you would not be the one to pay the taxes, maybe Bobby would be the one to pay the taxes.
they're
I
not,
don't know what that
and
would-
then they're gonna be responsible for everybody's bill. That's what I'm saying. That's what Rudy told me.
Right.
That you can
Right.
take your name off of there
Yeah.
and then, put somebody else's name, then they're gonna be responsible for my bill and everybody
That's
else's bill.
right,
That's not right
Well,
though.
that's the way it's gonna be done.
That's-
Until it's broken up, until it's broken up.
No, I get with you
That's-
because it's already broken up. Everybody got their deed.
If everybody's got a deed, then me and you can get together and we
Okay.
can fix that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you.
Okay.
When do I see you?
I'll be in the office today if you want to swing by. I
Okay.
don't know quite how long we're going to be, but you want to swing by 2
Where-
or 3 o'clock.
Where's your office?
You know where the Starkville Cafe is?
No.
You know where Main Street is,
I
right
know
here?
where Main Street
All right,
is.
you know where Sullivan's office supply is? This is typical southern direction.
Are you on Main? Well, give me your address. I can just Google
I'll get
it.
you a card.
Okay.
That way you can put it in. But it's on this main drag right here, you
Okay.
can't miss
And
it.
the only way that I cannot pay for those 10 months that I'm not there, I would have to shut my power off. That's what, I think
Right.
you told me that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I'm not
That's
gonna do
right.
that. Okay, okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you all for your
Okay.
time.
Thank you,
William,
ma'am.
thank you for
Appreciate you
coming,
coming.
Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Moving forward, we have David Kenneth with us today. Will you please come forward, Mr. Kenneth?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How y'all this morning?
Good.
Good. I just appreciate the time y'all giving us to do this. I left Tom Bigby as executive director back a year ago, November, and y'all have put me on the board as a director, and I appreciate that. But since that time, we've hired a new executive director, so we do have somebody in place right now. Came on in May. Drew Robertson. Drew is our new executive director. Came on in May. Excited to have Drew there, doing great things. Drew has had several, done several things in his career. He is a graduate of the school up north. We don't hold that against him very often. But currently, right now, he just finished up Army War College. He's a detachment commander with the Army Reserve out of Redstone Arsenal. Just finished up Army War College as an 06 with that, has deployed several times, was a member of the Mississippi Army National Guard, has been, is familiar with the Guard here in Starkville, this unit here, has deployed overseas, has done several things with the military, and we're excited to have him. He's doing really good things, and I'm just gonna turn it over to him, let him talk to you, but I wanted to just kind of be here to introduce him, and we appreciate it. Thank y'all.
I just came for the buttercups. Peanut butter. I'm gonna put my back to you, but no, I've been in this position, and David was very humble. He did some tremendous things to set us up for success. But I took over in May, so it's 6 months. I think the honeymoon's somewhat over. So I'm actually now trying to get out where I visit the supervisors, because everything, as you know, in Mississippi is a relationship. So it's a really neat organization we've got. I think it's got Stennis and Eastland and Jamie Whitten's fingerprints on it from back in the 60s, and it's a very interesting concept. And of course, we don't do anything without the county. So we answer to the supervisors. We've got amazing, we're 16 of us total, so we're not a very large organization, but we're a state special agency, and 13 counties from Noxubee, Kemper up to the Tennessee line. It's Tom Bigby, River Valley, but Oktibbeha being fairly new, one of the reasons I wanted this to be my first stop is obviously we want you to be able to get the value out of what you're paying into it. And so every county's unique. Some counties use attorneys, some use clerks. So we're looking for, of course, the Board of Supervisor President is my touch point, but we want to make sure that whomever your county person is, that you understand the analytics and the calculus and the little procedural things that we do, so that this becomes very user-friendly for you. So again, no objective other than just say hello. Opportunity to go to the Starkville Cafe this morning with David. Never miss an opportunity. My dad played football at Mississippi State with D.D. Lewis, so I had to come support the local economy a little bit. But I would be happy to take any questions, or I know you got a big agenda, but it's an introduction and just to say hello. Of course, Rick, we met when Richard brought us by to look at those projects.
Yes. I would just say that I have finally finished all but one easement. So the easement for the White Oak subdivision, they're all done. I just need to bring them. But then there was one developer that was concerned about the wording of the easement, and they've sent a new one. And that's on the section that's closer to the country, between the Country Club Drive area and Poorhouse Road area. So I have all of them except one. This is a little different than when we were doing it before, because you have to get them notarized. So you have to give them to that consumer, and they have to take the time to sign it and notarize these. So it's a little different, just simply because that, the citizen has to take the time to go and get it notarized, or we're going to have somebody in the car with us that can notarize it. So I will tell you that causes, something that makes it take a little longer to get the easements back. And I will just share that with you, because I don't know if anybody else has been through this process but me so far. But, I have got it, and so the next step is for me to bring them back and us to approve it. Once we get the board order approved, then we'll be able to move forward. And pending that last easement on that section, we'll have to see how that works out.
I would assume the board, as soon as these easements come in, we want to get those things filed within 24 hours of them being received. Is that a fair assessment?
I don't know, I've just been gathering mine together until I got them all together and bring them up here.
I would prefer the quicker the better.
And I would
Yeah.
say this, if I could interject.
Yeah, sure.
I'm OCD to a fault. I'm an ENTJ on the Myers-Briggs to a fault. I like everything dress right, dress and streamlined. But there is both an art and a science to this process. Anything familiar is a little bit cumbersome at first. But I think once the county finds its stride, finds whomever that point contact is. I know some of the other counties, and again, just looking at different ways that they do it, they'll have one individual who's policing all of that up and keeping everything on a glide path. So, and again, this is somewhat new for Oktibbeha County, but we'll be happy to come back down there. I think David had said earlier, there was a handoff originally with the lady who was here previously, but I think she retired.
Miss Emily, yeah.
So now I'm finally sitting in the saddle fairly tall, so we can get down here. We can spend a little time with you, meet with whomever, just to make sure you understand it. Because again, I don't think it's anything that cumbersome, but the first few times you may try to figure out, hey, what process is going to work best for us? Because to Brickley's point, it can, you get, it's an anomaly, but you'll get 1 out of 10 that's going to be a bottleneck. So if you do have somebody, just a recommendation in the county that's helping you drive all of those, 5 supervisors got a lot on their plate to begin with. So if you've got somewhere that you're routing that through the county, I think that would be beneficial. And we can give you some ideas on that.
Like
I
said,
finished my that process several months ago. My only
Thank you
holdup
so much.
is again some air property issues. I found it's one person that I've got to locate that lives off, but I think there's an opportunity, if it gets to the point that you just can't get that signature, we can just sort of work around that area. So I might be coming to you with that. I've got all of them notarized and everything except for this one person that I'm having to try to work through some air property and find out exactly who is the right signature.
Yeah, and there is no silver bullet. I mean, every landowner is going to be uniquely different. So to David's point, we'll work with you. We can help you on any of that, certainly.
Victor, one point on that. I know the other counties do this, and we may just need to relook at that, the easement part of that. There's 2 parts to that form. It's an either or. One part is that you have to notarize every single one of them. There's another one that you fill out that whole list, and then you certify, you bring it back to do that. So there may be a point there where it's not each individual.
Yeah.
It's a sheet that's filled out, and then it's notarized for that.
That was gonna be my questions or my statement to bring forward, that all of those are not separate easements. Some of those are just a 1-sheet easement deal, that those individuals sign a 1-sheet easement and bring back to be certified. I don't know which way we're gonna go in relation to that.
We have counties that do it both ways. I mean,
Well,
even on the same job, you'll get one that'll have a list of all those with notarized, and then you'll end up with one just straight easement.
Yeah.
Notarized.
And I had them all notarized. The one landowner, and it's a valid concern, the easement itself is pretty open-ended, like no time frame and things like that. And he has invested a lot of money into developing this area that he wants to sell for nice residential lots. He also is concerned with the tree line that they strategically left up so they couldn't see the back of an industrial building. And so, those are his types of questions that he has. And so hopefully the new easement that you sent me, that you emailed me last week, that one will be okay with him. He wants to work with us. He just wants to make sure that he's had an attorney here look at it, that he has a full understanding of what we're going to do.
And as you've met, Richard Herring is our project director, and
Sure.
Don Whitehead is our operations director. So we are available. Now, granted, we've got 13 counties, but whenever if we need to come back down, meet with landowners, certainly once something is going, we can do that.
And they can go in there and talk to him. Don can say, this is how I would get the equipment in, this is what we would do, and they can give him, we've done that before. give the landowner a comfort level of, this is how we're gonna do this, and that way he can back up and he can look at it and say, okay, now I understand how you're gonna do your work, so I'm not as apprehensive about it.
So may I ask this question? Now that we have those, which it has taken a little while to get this done, this process, and my fault, but I'll take responsibility for not getting them gathered back up, trying to get there, and pushing on the citizens for not getting them back. But now that we've got them all back, for example, in the Grand Oaks subdivision, how long will it go? Because that's like off the bridge that y'all were going to go in there and clean that out. How long, once we get the board order done on it, the next step is to sign off of that
And I'll
before
address that.
they get in there?
It sounds like I'm trying to dodge your question.
No.
I don't mean that, but we have 164 projects pending right now. And so what we try to do, it's not first in, first out. It's really more what's the Board of Supervisors' priorities. So I'm trying to do a better job, which David had done in the past, at least quarterly or on a 6-month basis, come back with the litany of projects. Of course, you don't have a ton yet, but you can tell us how to prioritize. From that, we are then looking at how do we get our pieces around the district. Now you got weather, like today we were going to be working on a bridge in Alcorn County. We're not. So I'm dodging the question in the sense that I'm saying I can't tell you with great specificity when it's there, but I can assure you and always brief to you, hey, this is kind of the batting order, here's what we're thinking, and give you some tentative dates that we will try to get there. Because we
I just
know,
didn't know. I know we don't have, we're just starting this process, so this is all new to us. So we don't have a laundry list
Yeah.
here of already gotten the easements done. I know that we'll have this section done. I just didn't know, now that we've got them,
No, it's a
how
fair
long before
question.
you guys will.
and I'll conclude with this. I don't mean to sound narcissistic in offering this, but the district, I inherited the easiest job in the world, particularly what this man did and what these workers did. It's amazing. We can get in, so you can only do work in the right of way. Because the way our bylaws are set up, we can do work on private property if the Board of Supervisors wants us to do that. And that's a benefit for the taxpayer. So I say that to say this. The other counties that have been with us since 63 and 64, a lot of this stuff that you're getting pushback for easements, that goes away over time because they begin to see the quality of work, how quickly they get in there and they do these jobs. And there's 3 things in our wheelhouses. It's bridges, levee repair, and maintenance or cleanouts. And so it's a tremendous benefit, especially these canals were built in the 30s and 40s by the Corps, no disrespect to the Corps, and then left. So a tree falls down and that creek's going to find another path. So long-winded taking you around the Horn of Africa to say this, I do think once we get here and get some, get vested with you and get some work and projects done, I think that your folks will begin to, the easements will come easier.
Well, and that's what they did in Oktibbeha County. They were, for the farmers, they were slowing the flow down, and so they made them real
That's right.
crooky, they didn't make them straight line, so everybody had access to it. And so now, through time and the trees coming down and the silting and the construction in the city limits, that's what we're finding is the water problem. It's starting in the county and it's backing up and it's even flooding now even on Academy Road. But that all stems from the creeks in the county.
It does.
So,
And they've just had no maintenance. There's just been no maintenance on those creeks over the years. The farmer, back when we did have a lot of farming and agriculture in that area, and the pastures were clean, people kept ditches clean, but as that agricultural footprint left, so did the maintenance of those ditches, and they just had years to grow up with no maintenance. I'll offer 2 things real quick. One is, I'm your rep on that board. If you have any questions or any issues about getting one of those jobs done or where, ping me, and then I can or you can go direct to him. But I'm just saying that's one of the advantages of y'all having me to do that is give me a call. Y'all all have my numbers. Give me a call. I'll be glad to get you any information I can on any project. That way, I can call and liaison with you if you want me to do that. The other thing is that on some of these projects, it would be good if we could, start to get Richard to come down and maybe go through that process with y'all a little bit more. If it would, I know you're saying you've already done it, but I know some of the others hadn't. But if it would help where you didn't have to sit down with everybody, we could probably get Richard to come down and do that to try to help with that. I know it's a cumbersome project, but if you will, when you put a project resolution in, personally, what I've seen other counties do that really pays dividends for them is they will go ahead and make the assumption that that project is gonna pass the Tom Bigby board. So as soon as they put the resolution in, they go ahead and start their process of getting the easements. That way, once the board approves it, they've already got a leg up and they can turn around and get that
So
paperwork back.
we can
very
approve
quickly.
those today, those two projects, without the easements being back and being, even though I've got 99% of them?
No, now, the only thing that y'all got to do as far as a board action that I'm familiar with, you did a board action for the project that initiated that. There's no other board action that comes. You just get the easements back to Rob. He certifies his letter and turns around and the letter comes back to Tom Bigby. There's no other board action
Okay,
y'all have to do
okay.
on that.
There was paperwork though that said
And that makes that a
Attorney
pending
Roberts
project.
has to sign off on, I mean, it had a place for the attorney to sign off,
It's a
okay.
pending
So I didn't know if we needed a board order for that.
No, ma'am, you
Okay.
do not. We don't need a board action back.
Sorry, this is all new.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a pending project, John, as soon as y'all pass that resolution, that first, one, it's a pending project. Then it comes to us, that board, our board approves that, we approve that project, then it starts y'all for the paperwork of getting the easements, getting the attorney certification and all that stuff. I'm just saying, some of these other counties go ahead and take that step forward and say, we're gonna take the gamble that this is gonna be this project's gonna pass their board, which the majority of them do. And they go ahead and start their paperwork process so that when they get the approval back from us, they can turn around and give that paperwork. Because I'm gonna tell you this, the counties that are successful are the ones that get that paperwork back on time. Drew can tell you right now from where he's been in the seat, we have a lot of projects come across that board. There's a minority of those that just don't ever get all the easements done, and they just sit out there and sit out there and sit out there. So that's what gets you in line for these projects. What gets you in line is getting all your paperwork back, and that's the important part about this, is getting your easements back so that they can get in there and do that.
You know, and I'll say final jeopardy so you can get on with the agenda. To David's point, so we're set up, we meet on the second Tuesday of each month at the executive board level. We can approve anything that's under 300,000 there. So if it's an over $300,000 project estimate, that will go to the quarterly board, which is every 3 months on the fourth Thursday of the month. So I think David's point is, as soon as you send the resolution to us, you may want to go ahead and start the mechanics of getting the easements under the 98% assumption that that's going to be approved within a month or a month and a half, maybe longer if it's a full board. But that way, everything's cyclical and we can action this, and then that helps me to answer your question about the speed of getting it on the ground. So.
Well, and I didn't realize that I could just have them all sign that piece of paper and me notarize it. I thought, because there are two forms in there, that they had to notarize that, and they did. Each one of them did. That's the form that I gave them. Because, I mean, it was in the pack, and it said this is where they're supposed to sign and notarize it, so that's what I did.
Gotcha.
I know Lowndes County, Jeff Smith, Lowndes County, that's the way he does his. He takes that sheet of paper around, he gets them to sign that, he gets it notarized, he sends it back.
Jeff Smith?
Jeff Smith? Yeah.
Supervisor,
Lowndes
supervisor
County, yeah.
adjustment.
Oh.
It's adjustment supervisor and adjustment. Different, yeah.
Well, listen,
I know that's why he does his.
I thank you for your time, and we'll discuss the canal between Oxford and Starkville that we're going to build just for a direct path to go back and forth. Seriously, thank you for what you do.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate me.
Thank y'all.
I got a Waco put tax in that.
We,
You did say
can I
you
get a
worked on
motion
levies?
to acknowledge,
So,
motion by
I did catch
Supervisor
that.
Trainer, second by Supervisor Miller, that we acknowledge Mr. David Kennett's presentation. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Y'all have a great day.
you do the same. Thank you, sir.
Moving forward, Ms. Jean Marshall, we're glad to have you with the Unity Park on Reed.
Good morning, good morning.
It's not a very great day out there, but it's nice and sunny in here. First of all, before I get started, I'd like to introduce my committee. Some of my committee members are here with me to help support what we've done. So I'd like to invite Dylan Carges, Chris Taylor, Maria White, and Billy Nix. Please stand or wave anyway. They're all back there. I would like to thank you for continuing to fund the Unity Park Committee each year. I think that we have used the money well, and each year the Unity Park has made changes that have enhanced its significance. It has been visited and used by many people and groups who have been impressed and complimentary. I'm going to take this off because it's hard to hear. During the past year, we were able to add a sculpture called Onward by sculptor Dylan Carges. It represents people marching for their civil rights, which continues onward as our citizens work for equality. Little library, which contains civil rights and black history books for children and adults, has also been added. The building of the little library was accomplished through SOUL, Starkville Octobi Unity League, which is an organization that was founded by the Unity Park Committee to bring unity and understanding among the diverse citizens who live in Octobi County. Chair of the Unity Park Initiative of SOUL is Jenny Turner. I don't know if you know her, but she's a very enthusiastic person, and she found a young Girl Scout, Julia Schlemmer, to build the little library and compile over 100 books. The library is so well used that we are having to solicit and collect more books frequently. You know, we go over there and they're gone, and a lot of people aren't returning them. So we're trying to, if anybody here has any books about Black history or civil rights, please let me know, because we will use them over there. Finally, the Unity Park Committee again asked for nominations between September 1st and November 1st of this year for the 2022 Unity Park honorees. This will be our 5th year. It's hard to believe, but 5 years have gone by to honor 2 outstanding citizens of Octobi County who have worked for civil rights and unity in our community. We received several outstanding nominations, and I'm here to announce our selections to you. Our first is Monica W. Banks, who lived from April 11th, 1958 to September 30th, 2016. We all knew Monica as our first Black county-wide elected official and Chancery Clerk who served in that position for over 20 years. She was known for outstanding leadership skills, work ethic, and concerns for others. When she was elected, I was chair of the Octobi County Democratic Executive Committee, and I knew how hard she worked to get elected. I think that she was successful because she was involved in Octobi County through several organizations, both black and white, and was well known and deeply respected. Monica's daughter, N.G. Banks Tillman, said that her mother's life mission was to be a voice for those who had no voice. She sought justice for those who were treated unjustly, and she spoke up and out to bring change. She paved the way, for African Americans to walk out, stand firm, and achieve the impossible. Finally, she was a member of the first Unity Park Committee and was present to see the unveiling of those that the committee chose to honor on Martin Luther King Day 2015. She is indeed worthy of being one of our 2022 Unity Park honorees. Our second choice is Mr. Clarence Taylor, who lived from May 12, 1921 to April 11, 1999. Clarence Taylor was born in the New Light community in Octobi County and later moved to Starkville with his family. From his nomination by Estella Taylor Boyd, we learned that he served in the U.S. Army in the Philippines during World War II from 1941 to 1945. He returned home to earn his high school diploma from Octobi County Training School. He spent much of his life serving others by becoming a member of American Legion Post 240, Griffin United Methodist Church, Octobi County Hospital Board of Trustees, Octobi County NAACP, and chairman of its Legal Redress Committee. Many a day his front yard became standing room only when people of all walks of life would come and ask for help to find a job, to help a child who had been expelled from school, to help pay for medical treatment because they did not have health insurance and other needs. Mrs. Boyd said that he advised, marched, protested, and donated to all who needed his help. In closing, she said, his heart was truly big, and he wanted a better life for those that served in the community. The Unity Park Committee feels that Clarence Taylor is very worthy of becoming a 2022 Unity Park honoree. And all these 2 people will be honored again on Martin Luther King Day, 2022. So, do you have any questions?
Now, those are 2 outstanding honorees that you Have a name
We think
now,
we
I
have.
tell
Did
you.
anybody know, well, everybody here probably knew Monica.
I knew Mr. Taylor really well.
Did you?
Yeah, I knew him as Wolf. That's what you're talking
Wolf
about, right?
Taylor,
Wolf Taylor.
Is that right?
When I'm young, I knew Mr. Wolf.
And I
Taylor.
know, Chris Taylor, who's on our committee, was, related to him. But,
Did a lot for unity and helping people and all people.
right. That's right, and I never knew him, but this is the second time he's been nominated, and this time his nomination really detailed so much that, of what he had done. Otherwise, sometimes people submit these nominations, but really don't tell us what they have done locally to help the people in this county, and it's so important for us to make that decision. So, we were really impressed with what he had done. So, we're thrilled with our choices, and, I hope that you think so too.
Thank you all so much for that.
Good.
You're welcome.
Doing that.
And so there are no questions.
Board?
We're
I know,
hoping.
I think you have two good honorees that we're gonna be honoring on those
Okay.
occasions. so
I hope you all
I'm
come.
looking forward to it.
All right, and our committee continues to meet, well, we've started meeting again because of the pandemic, but we're starting to meet again in person, and, we've got some good ideas, to follow through in the future.
Thank y'all.
Okay.
Thank y'all so much for what y'all do.
Do we have a motion from the board?
Should we accept the request come from the committee?
Motion by Supervisor Trainer that we accept the recommendation, those honorees, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any additional questions? No additional questions, all in favor?
Thank you so
Motion
much.
carries
Really
5-0.
appreciate it. Good to see you.
You too.
Moving forward, assessment changes, Ms. Barbara Cuban? Cuban? Cuban.
That's close.
Cuban.
We're in the 11th month.
Yeah.
You got one more, no, 12th month.
Yeah,
Almost got it. Got a few couple of weeks left.
Alright, so I've got assessment changes for real and personal property.
I've taken a look at them in my packet. I make a motion for approval on real and personal, property changes.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard, that we approve the assessment changes. Are there any questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Alright, and then I've got 2 erroneous sales to do for 2 different years.
Yeah,
Different
so
pieces of property.
That's gonna be a refund, am I right?
It is.
I make
I'm not aware
motion
that
for
this was-
approval on the erroneous, tax sale there as well.
Yeah, we didn't.
I'll second.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard on the erroneous tax sale. Are there any questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
And
Thank you, Mr.
you got the, you talked to Mr. Beach and Sturgis about the, they sold that property that was owned,
Yeah, we're gonna do it for the 2022 roll.
okay, that
He's already
was
talked to the
owned
appraiser.
commercial and now
Yes.
they've sold it. Okay. Thank
How'd
you.
you call it? What'd you call it?
Huh?
Beach? What'd you
His
say?
last name's Beach, yeah.
Oh, is that how you pronounce that?
That's all right.
Thank you, Ms. Coulon.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Have a great
you.
day.
Well, we got just a little break. I just want to acknowledge Monica's sister coming up, Maria. Good to see you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, moving forward. Captain Mallett?
Good morning. Good morning.
And then Watson, there.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll wait a minute.
Every
since
month, y'all
since
got
we're
to
having, we're having this name thing this week.
It's still Campanelli.
Okay.
So on the agenda it has the next gen 911 grant. We come back in August and got approved for that grant for $155. It's a 60-40 grant, so we got ready to purchase the equipment, and the auditor didn't like that we didn't get approval to apply for the grant. before, and how I've always done it. So I've done them since 2013, but how I've always done it, if it didn't cost the county money to apply and you wasn't obligated to take the money, then I would just apply for whatever for my department. And then once we got approved, then I brought it back to accept the grant. So, but the auditor didn't like that. He wants to get the approval before we apply. So I'm not sure what I need since we've already accepted it and it's already in my budget to purchase for this equipment. So I'm not sure how the wording needs to.
So do those two things still apply, that we're not obligated?
You're not obligated. Any grant that I've ever applied for, you're not obligated to take it, and then it doesn't cost the county anything to apply. So like there's 3 that I do every year. So of course the EMPG, which is around 42,000 that we get every year. That's one that we do every year. And then the Hazard Materials Emergency Performance Grant, which we usually get anywhere from like 20 to 40 a year on that, if awarded. And then Homeland Security. Those are 3 that we apply for every year. Sometimes we get what we ask for, sometimes we don't. This one was a different grant. It just come up this year. I suspect maybe some more federal funding that's coming down. Maybe we'll keep getting some more money for next year. But so I don't know how we need to do it. If we could, the board approval, however y'all want it done. But I don't know if we could get one where it was like, just like what I was doing. If it doesn't cost you money for me to apply for that, and it doesn't obligate you to take the money for me to apply for these grants. And then once I get an approval for anything, come back and then y'all approve to take the money and then purchase the equipment.
So will this cause you to have to go all the way back through the entire process?
I hope not, because the deadline for spending our money is December the 31st. I have to have the equipment in, not purchase. I don't have to have the check paid, but I have to have the equipment in by December 31st. And it's taken a minute to get second quotes on things that we had put in for. This is where our text and video and all that was coming in for the call taking. So it's taken a minute to get it. So finally, once we got it, we got ready to purchase it. The auditor didn't like that we didn't get permission to apply first. So however y'all wanna.
I just said go ahead and pass it on.
What is it?
Do it non-pro tem. Just go ahead and pass the motion that we pursue the grant.
Second.
Wait a minute, but I do wanna hear what,
For from this point forward, I think we accept the grant. You do what you need to do to get this accepted today, but for the ones in the future, I hate to do this, and don't throw anything at me. Just ask for permission.
That's fine. I mean, and I don't mind doing whatever we need to do. That was just
You're-
something I've never done. I've always just applied for them, and if something stuck, we come back and
It's
ask.
counterintuitive.
Yeah, I
It's just
understand.
very counterintuitive, but all of the AG's opinions that I've read on not just this, everything, I don't care how redundant this feels, we're gonna have to do the dance every time we
Yeah, that's
do
fine.
this.
so maybe like every January, we
Yes, I
just
think
put
that's
in, do a board order
I
for
think
all.
that's an excellent idea. Whatever it is that we're applying for typically, go ahead and pick
And
a
then-
time on the calendar where we go through those standard operation. And that includes that, but it also includes some other things, but we'll get into those other things later.
Whatever sticks on the wall, then we can come back and make that
It-
decision.
Y'all, it's so counterintuitive to what you really think this, because if you're running your own business or you're used to doing that kind of stuff, you'd make the decisions that make sense. That's not the way this stuff works. We have to jump through their hoops.
But do we need to do this, just a normal board order approval, or do we need to do it?
I think
pro
we
non
need to
tum?
just do a regular board order. They've already looked at it. They already know. They
Yeah.
already know what we did.
Yeah.
I say we approved the grant that was gotten and just move forward like we would move forward any other time.
And we already got the match.
Yeah, we was approved to
Okay.
put in my budget.
Okay,
'Cause it's
so
a
okay,
60/40.
it's in your budget.
So we got approved for 155, so our amount we'll get back is 93, 425, 64,
We'll get the 93 or 97?
93.
Okay, the 93, 420. Okay.
So see, I've got 2 others that's the same way. So I don't know if we need to put all that in one. So the Homeland grant that we got, that we signed, what, a month ago, that you come and signed that it was okay for us to accept it, that's the same thing. We didn't ask for permission to apply. This is one that I do. So that was 10,000.
You wanna let's go ahead and
For
let's do these
radios.
board orders now, and get them all
Do you
done?
let's
need
do it.
3 separate, or do you want them all?
Let's,
We got a motion and a second right now.
On the first one. Let's do them separate. Let's do them separate.
On the first one. Let's do the first one. The one
So
that
that'll be the
you just
next
presented.
gen 911 grant?
Yeah, that's the NG 911 grant. We have a motion on the NG 911 grant for approval. Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Miller, that we approve that grant. Are there additional questions? If no additional questions, all in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Now the one on Homeland Security.
Homeland Security, mhm.
I make a
The motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Miller, that we approve the Homeland Security grant.
And that's 100%, so.
100%. Okay. Are there questions? Questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
And I've got one more. The pipeline grant, so that one for this year is $30,980.21.
Pipeline grant, motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Miller. We approve the pipeline grant. Pipeline.
Hazardous Materials
All
Safety
that.
Administration.
Okay.
It's a long one. I can get you all that wording.
Get that for worded for us then. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Who would make the motion on that last one?
Me.
Second.
Montgomery and Miller.
Thank you.
So do I need to do the same things for public assistant grants?
I think every grant that comes through.
All right, so public assistance grants is any of the ones that we apply for, either following disasters or hazard mitigation money that comes from money that's following disasters. So like even with COVID, they're expecting another 5% of that COVID money that's been spent for the state to become for hazard mitigation funds. So the 7 sirens that we got, the 2 safe rooms for Maven and for Sturgis, and the Sheriff's Department generator.
Well, wait, there was 3 safe rooms.
We hadn't put in for the other one, so if y'all want me to go ahead and put, because that's the next pot of money that we're hoping to come.
Yes,
That 5% of
we do
COVID
want
money
the
that's spent,
3
that's coming as hazard
3
mitigation money.
safe rooms.
Yeah, so
We're
I can
gonna
put
prove
that
it.
one in. I haven't put it in. You tell me to put it in and I will put it in as soon as that money comes open.
Because I know Maven and Sturgis need a safe room, but there are people down south that doesn't have a place they could run to the
I mean,
school.
ideally, I would love one in every
They
community.
could run to the school, but they no longer have that, so.
So both of those that we've already got approved for is for Maven and Sturgis. Those are a million apiece. And I think y'all approved to put that up front for them and then get that money back. Those are 75-25, and then sometimes the state comes back and does that 12.5 additional. So
I know-
87.5.
I know we had some conversation, you and I had
Yeah.
a conversation about that, and that I thought we left with the conclusion
Yes, so-
that you would put in for that one down south also.
So if that's what y'all wanna do, order for that one, since I'm having to ask before I put those in. So this would be the next pot of money, and it hadn't come down yet, but we're hearing that we're gonna get hazard mitigation money from COVID, which is usually 5% of whatever the state spent on that disaster, comes back, and everybody in the state can apply for that. That don't mean we're gonna get awarded for it, but
Right.
we can put it in. So if
Well,
y'all want to do
well,
2
yes,
separate,
we'll
one to
have to get
approve
a-
what we got, and then maybe one to apply for the new one.
Yes,
Okay.
that's my.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Trainer, that we approve the ones that have already been put in, those 2, and that you will put in for a 3rd one. And that's down, the Octop Road area around in that area.
We should figure out where y'all want to put that one. It has to be
Down south.
county property. It
Ma'am?
will have to be county property, just
Yeah, it
wherever
have to
you
be
want to
county
put.
property, right.
If you want to choose one of the fire stations in either district.
One of the fire stations
On the
or
east
something
side,
like
yeah.
that, yeah. Okay, did you get that?
That has to be a second, that has to be a separate, we haven't voted on.
Because that one hadn't been put in yet. So if you want to put for the second one would be, if hazard mitigation money becomes available, go ahead and apply for the 3rd safe room.
Vote on this one first.
Vote on the 2, or you voting on the 2 first?
2 that we've already got money for.
2 you already got money for. Okay, motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Trainer, that we approve the 2 that were already put in for. Are there additional questions?
And that will be the 2, the sirens, and the sheriff's generator.
Okay. Those 2 that, all in favor of those 2 that already been put in for. Motion carries 5-0. Now, I'm gonna do the motion that we also put in for a 3rd one down more South Mississippi, since those people down there need protection for a safe room.
I just need you to tell me where, because when I put in the notice of intent, I have to put the address of where that's gonna be.
I understand.
Okay.
We just need to get a board approval for that.
What's fire station is that at the end of South Montgomery? You take the right there past McElwain store.
That's in Bethel.
District 5.
District 5.
Would that make-
I thought you were referring to the one on October.
Or you
we don't know yet.
Ocock is.
We don't know yet because we haven't got
It's
approval
a
from
fire
the,
district.
fire station.
Yeah.
And I don't think you need that just now.
Well, I will need to know where you want to put it. And so the ones from Maven and Sturgis were the big ones. So they're $1 million a piece. They're not as big as the one that we got on Lynn, but they can make it a dome, they can make it a community center, because it can be a multi-purpose building.
We understand.
If you want to think about even those extra fire stations like Bel Air, East, wherever, if you want a smaller version of that for like 50, 75,000, where it wouldn't hold but maybe 100 people, you can't house everybody in that community, of course, but if they're riding through that area and they, get a warning or whatever, they could stop. So if you want to look at that, all these other stations, if you want to possibly put in, because there is some counties beside us that done that. And they got
buildings,
approved.
or are they just digging those things and putting those things in the ground?
So they're buildings, they're just like center block building. I mean, they're not the prettiest things at the fire stations.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, I just
Yeah.
wonder why they wouldn't dig those, since it's just such a small area, amount of
And you
people
can
that
put
might
whatever you
be.
want. The only thing I think for the ones that go underground, the max you can get in them is usually about 30, because the size of them. But the above ground, like that Chickasaw County has one. I think Clay got approved for some, where it's for each one of those stations, and it may be like 50 to 100 people, however big you want to build it. But if you want to do that instead of one big $1 million shelter in whatever district, if you want to just do one for
They
every.
could do training in there too, right?
Yeah, you could be multi-purpose. You can do whatever you want to do with it.
Right. The one that's already been put in for, what is the capacity of those?
We haven't got all that far yet. That's all in the engineering side. All we've been approved for is $1 million for one that sits in the town of Maben and at the park at Sturgis.
Right, that's right.
And they hadn't got into the design part yet. FEMA's still doing paperwork.
Right. Well, we'd like to have, look like that is the going rate and the going capacity. So if we could get the same capacity down south, that would be good also. And we'll communicate further with the fire station to try to get approval.
Wherever y'all want to put it in, we can. I don't mind asking for whatever.
That's my motion, that we put a third one in down south around the Alcott Road area, and communication will come later about the location.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer. That a third safe room will go in down south. Are there additional questions? No additional questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Did everybody get the grant paperwork? Anybody have any
Yeah,
questions on
hey,
any of that?
what about the reimbursement? Can you bring that up in front of the board? Because I just need, for the horse park, for all the,
So that's the public assistance. So the way they're working with COVID is they're doing 100%, which normally the 75 or either 87.5. But with COVID, they're doing 100. So for the horse park, it was 102,000 and some change. We just got our COVID money back from the PPE expenses last week. So that check should be coming. But so that'll come to the county, then the county will turn around.
so
and check to
will we need a board order since it came to the county for the board to turn around and reimburse the horse park for that?
once that money comes in. So the county had to apply for it because it was a county site. So luckily we had Brickley and them that was allowed us to use it at the horse park. So with their expenses incurred, so the money comes back to the county, and then the county will turn around and write a check back to the horse park for everything. And I think it was 102,000.
Rob, do we need a board order for to get reimbursed, or when the money comes in,
Do we need it when it
since
comes
we've
in?
already done the application, or can Delois just write a check? If we need a board order, then I would like us to go ahead.
I think we
Okay.
need to go ahead and just do a board order so that we follow, just like what we had to do.
Well,
with
yeah,
others.
so that made me think of something else too, but okay, that's fine.
Will a certain percentage of that be maintained by the county, and a certain percent?
It's
go
100%.
to the horse park, 100%?
We
go-
put it in as a separate, complete application, so it didn't touch
Yeah.
anything that we were spending, so we knew that everything come in under that application number was the horse parks.
Right, okay. Yeah.
I
Look like we
can't
need
do
a
the motion
motion
on
on
that,
that.
so.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Williams, that we forward those funds on to the horse park.
Correction, you may want to use Mississippi State University. You may want to
Yeah.
use the Mississippi State University.
Well, I wasn't gonna vote.
That still doesn't matter.
All right.
I'll be-
This is an order to reimburse Mississippi State University's and / Forest Park, whatever we want to do
Mississippi
that.
State University / Horse Park.
MSU.
But they had to go to MSU.
Okay.
And then MSU normally would be the one that.
No,
filtrates
no,
it.
because we're not,
Yeah,
the
I
way
they're
we're set
separate
up, you wouldn't send the
funds.
check to MSU. You would send the check to the horse park.
Who owns the facility?
Huh? We do our own, that comes through our, they don't, we're not in the general accounting for them.
Well, I think we need to table this until a little further discussion.
Because part of the process, we had to get all the records that the horse park had spent, so it showed where it come from, the horse parks and funds. I mean, that was everything we had to submit.
Can you have a detailed something in our packet by next board
I
meeting?
can't
Yeah,
do that.
and do we have
Because
an
FEMA
idea
asked for
about-
every little thing, so I've got it.
I mean, that
Do we
way,
have an idea
Yeah.
about how
apples
much
for
those
apples.
funds
Yeah.
will be, then you also could tell us about how much we could expect in terms of
Well,
funds to be
okay, so
transferred.
all of the funds, I'll be glad to share that. When Oktibbeha County came out and it was accepted that they were gonna, and we did the agreement
The health
with,
department.
with Mississippi State University that, and the county did the agreement with Mississippi State and the horse
health
park,
department.
that was going to be the location for the Oktibbeha County, vaccine and testing facility. Each month, we had to do detailed cost of what it cost to operate that facility for them to be in there. And they were in there from January until April. Every day. And so we had to submit that very detailed. Hours, how many chairs they used, tables they used, if they used extension cords, anything that they had to do. So she has all of that, and that's all been approved. But what we're looking for is reimbursement back on those funds.
but this is money the county can't keep, correct?
No.
I mean, this is,
And a lot of these grants, they're the awards for the county. So just like this, that's what made me think of the hazard materials grant that we get. So that was the $30,000 grant. We shared some of that this year and let the Starkville Fire Department buy radios. So we've done that before. We're like, this year I think it was $5,200 that they used and bought some radios. So the county gets the money, but we have to turn around and cut the check back because the city actually spend their money to buy that portion of this grant. But it's funded to the county.
Well, I don't think it's an issue. I don't think it's an issue as to whether or not those funds will be refunded back to the horse park, or just the process in which those funds are gonna travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we just, can you just, by next, okay.
so we'll just table that.
And check can't come yet, so.
No, it's
gotta
fine.
find out
My
about it.
bosses keep asking me,
Yeah.
Ripley, when are we gonna get reimbursed?
Yeah.
Because for all of those months, it was used for the county. And then, Mississippi State did have one too, and they filed their own under a different application. So, but because we were the county site, we went through the county, and I submitted the information to Kristen submitted to Emily, and that's how it went in.
On another note,
Since we,
churches. So church is eligible for reimbursement for
They're just
county?
like y'all.
Okay, so.
Yeah, so
what
anything
process
public
do we
assistance, it
need?
used to not always be like that.
Okay.
There's certain things that they have to meet. They have to be a 501(c). There's a list of things that they have to check a box for.
Okay.
But they're just, so any public assistance funding that comes, or hazard mitigation money that comes from that, they can apply for. But it's the
Okay.
same thing. They have to put up that money first and get reimbursed.
Okay.
And we've had a couple, so there was ones that was, on 25, that had the damage from the tornado, their roof, they done it.
Well, I mean, things like we put in extra cleaning,
Yep.
crews
Any of that.
for
Mhm.
COVID.
Yep.
We bought fogging machines and
Yep.
stuff like that, so.
And some of
that's-
that may be cut off. If they want to do it, they need to get it in because the governor stopped that emergency. What was that, last week or week before
Okay.
last when they
Well, I'll
stopped
get
it?
with you to see what
Yeah.
process.
Hey, what
Okay.
about, like, you remember we had the gentleman come in and check for the air quality? Could we put
Anything
that in
that
there?
you've had that's an expense of COVID.
See what I'm saying?
We can
Could have,
pay for. Because the check we got last week was everything that the county had bought as far as gloves and stuff like that. And we do have an application in for all the partitions that were put for tax office and justice and all that. They first denied it, but then Biden's administration come back and changed something. So now they're taking those applications again. At first they stopped it and said that it wasn't protecting life safety or some wording from FEMA. So they've changed it now. So we've resubmitted that application. So we're waiting for that to get reimbursed on all the partitions that were put in all the courthouses. But yeah, anything that you spent for COVID, we can put in for. I just need the documentation.
We had a motion and a second, so I think we have to at least carry that motion. And I don't think we got enough votes to carry it through, but
You're difficult.
Sorry.
Thank
It's
you,
money.
Ms. Crystal.
Thank y'all.
It was all easy when we were setting it up to use it though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Move forward. The Clearwater Group is glad to have Mr. Austin Barbara, Riker Lakey, and
Good
President.
morning, good morning.
Hey everybody, how are y'all today?
Morning, great, how about yourself?
I didn't bring any chocolate.
Isn't that right, President Lakey?
How are y'all doing today?
I'm doing great, how about yourself?
So, we're passing out handout for you guys. Riker is gonna walk you through a lot of the details. Obviously, our number one goal for today, or this morning, is to talk to you about what is in the infrastructure bill that passed Congress 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I don't know, time flies when you're having fun. And then to have a conversation with y'all about what are we doing for the legislative session? What are we doing about your priority projects? Are they still your priority projects? And try to get some direction from you guys. Obviously, you've got new issues that pop up every day in each one of your districts, and priorities tend to shift, which is understandable with the job that you have. Stop us. We're not going to get way into the weeds. We're not going through each word in this at all. But stop Riker as he's going through this. Ask us any questions. So with that, Riker, I'm going to turn it over to you for a minute.
So obviously it was passed November 15th, and it's 2,700 pages, so I know that's a lot and a lot to read through, and there's a lot of numbers in it. So I've tried to highlight everything that is important to counties, and then going to further go into everything that's important to this county.
We'll start on page 2.
Yeah, so on page 2 you can see the White House estimate allocations for Mississippi. Now these aren't just direct payments, kind of like the ARPA money, the local, state and local fiscal recovery funds. They're not just going to be given as a blank check to be spent. These are some direct payments, some sub-allocations, and a variety of categorical grants. But the total allocation for Mississippi over the 5-year period is about $4.5 billion, with $3.3 billion for highways, $200 million for bridge replacement, about $200 million for public transit, $400 million for water, and about $300 million for other. So in that bill, there's $550 billion of new spending, and so things that I think are important to the county. There's $110 billion for roads and bridges, $65 billion for broadband, $55 billion for water infrastructure, $39 billion for public transit, and $8 billion for western water infrastructure. I also kind of included in here how this bill is theoretically going to be paid for, so hopefully it's at little cost to the taxpayer. I won't go into that for y'all, but if y'all are interested, it's in there. And so these major provisions are specific grants and programs within this bill. That
This is on page 4 that he's on right now, on page 4.
Yeah, sorry, I'm flying through this, but I didn't want to just bore y'all by reading numbers and everything. So these major provisions, I've highlighted some that I think are important for y'all. So in this bill, it'll establish a new long-term surface transportation reauthorization of about $273 billion. And in that, it'll raise the off-system bridge set-aside by 5%, which results in about $330 million increase.
And let's pause for just a second there. To be candid with you, we don't know which bridges that you have that will qualify for that second bullet point. Your county engineer or someone within the county is going to have to help us figure out which of these bridges that you have that need work actually are considered all systems. Is that correct?
Yep. I don't know which ones are a part of the federal aid system.
But there's a bunch of money that's sitting there for bridges that are deemed off system, which was a new term for me, to be candid with you.
So could we talk about that? You know, with that last list that we got from Clyde, didn't have us on any of those bridges from what can we go ahead and get them a list from him of what the priority bridges are? You know, because according to state aid, we just have to have a plan. And this could be our plan, and that way we could move forward with our state aid money. That's what the email said. So can we, as a board, decide to get that information to them, or what do we need to do?
I mean, I would suggest we get all of it. Whatever bridges we want to do something with, I would suggest we make sure that they've got all the information we can, regardless.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good starting point at that point.
This is just what the latest thing that we got from our engineer, that we weren't on any of that emergency bridge money, and so we've got a list of bridges. But he sent us that, our county didn't get any of that. So we want to make sure that, we have 4 bridges, isn't it 4 that state aid wants us to address? For sure have a plan on?
It's either 3 or 4, I can't, I'm trying to remember.
So there's 4 of them that state aid in an email has said, hey, we're gonna let you have your state aid dollars, but you've got to have a plan to fix these bridges.
Well, maybe connect us with Clyde on
Yeah,
this. and then-
regardless, we'll still have to be
Yes, sir.
communicating with our county engineer.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering, if we could go ahead and get you the information.
Sure.
We'll still have to be saying how this is gonna work
Yes,
within
sir.
this particular plan.
He can educate us, and we can maybe educate him some, but once you, I'm sorry, keep going, right?
And so similar to that, I'll kind of skip around a little bit. So another one of these programs that's being created is called the Bridge Investment Program through the U.S. Department of Transportation. So for projects that I believe that most of the projects for the county are going to be below $100 million, the federal share is capped at 80% for that, and 15% of those funds in this program are reserved for all system bridges. States are going to receive $28 billion of these funds over 5 years, and those will be through formulated assistance. So my guess is they'll end up at MDOT, and then about $12.5 billion will be available as competitive grants. And so those aren't out yet, but there will be competitive grants for hopefully off-system bridges and I guess on-system bridges.
So just to make sure I understand what you're saying is there's a good bit of that money that's sitting in MDOT for off-system bridges and maybe other types of bridges. We have to just work through MDOT.
Yes. Yes.
And work with Clyde and you guys to figure out which are the priority.
Well, we already have the priority. I think that was my point, is there's 4 bridges
Okay, those are
that
the
have
4.
to be
Okay.
a priority. And so we already know those.
Okay.
We just
Perfect.
want to make sure y'all have the
Got
information
it.
so we can move forward. Those are the ones that State Aid has said, hey, you've
Got
got
it.
to have a plan for these 4 bridges.
Okay, so those are the 4 bridges. We'll get that list. We know that those are the ones that are in most desperate need.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. So this bill also increased the capital and private activity bonds from $15 billion to $30 billion. It authorizes $14.6 billion for the EPA's Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. It provides $1 billion for FEMA's Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities, the BRIC programs. There's a new population band within the Surface Transportation Block Grant for communities between 50,000 and 200,000. And when I Googled, I came up with the county population at 49,700. Is that accurate?
It's more than that.
It's a
That's
little
good.
over 50 now.
That's
It's like
perfect.
50,663.
Y'all now fall in the new band in the Surface Transportation Block Grants.
Oh.
Yeah, so just to make sure you understand that, that's obviously big news because we were sort of worried about that. Because as you can see on page 4, about halfway down, there's this new grant program for counties that fall between 50 to 200,000. So that's really good news.
We're in there, yeah.
And I talked about the Bridge Investment Program, and then it also authorized contract authority for solvency issues with the Highway Trust Fund, and it kind of increased the funding for that program. So those are just some of the major provisions that are in there that I thought were important to the county. Kind of similar to ARPA, I would not even hazard to give you a timeline on when the guidance is going to be for all of this stuff. I mean, they haven't even posted the final guidance for the ARPA funds. They're still using what they call the interim final guidance. But similar to the presentation we gave last time, there's some things the county can do to be ready for when that does come out. Make sure you have a valid DUNS number. Ensure the county is registered in the SAM database, which takes up to 3 weeks. I have a feeling all this is already addressed, but just wanted to revisit it.
Yeah.
Make sure all details for all your projects are gathered, everything from timelines, reasons and justifications, cost-benefit analysis, which under this administration includes environmental benefits, social equity benefits, things like that. And then all of these programs are going to basically boil down into 4 main methods of
I'm fixing to ask a legal question. For a county, and Mississippi is one of these places that have never done studies on equity or environmental, how are we going to address those?
Do we know the answer to that? To be honest with you,
I can
We
do
can circle
some.
back.
Yeah,
I can do some research for you. Now there are also other programs that will reimburse studies of that nature too. I have seen some of that, so that's something I would say maybe we can go ask people outside of Mississippi and see what they've done and maybe address it that way. But we can circle back to that.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned, me phrase this the right way, I'm not trying to say I'm against it, I just don't want I don't wanna spend a bunch of money on something that we.
I understand. Yeah, that's all fine about that.
So the county can access funds through 4 main methods: competitive grants, sub-allocations, which that surface transportation block grant that we just talked about is going to be one of those sub-allocations that will probably end up at MDOT. Federal formulas, transit formulas, the bridge investment program, airport improvement programs, and then there's also a state matching program.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about this. So the lieutenant governor has been very open, whether he's having private conversations or conversations on the radio, talking about his desire. I'm looking at your state legislator / county board attorney, for the legislature to do some kind of matching program for ARPA spending. So therefore, you guys got somewhere over $9 million for ARPA. As you spend those dollars, what he'd like to see, and I can understand his logic with this, is that the legislature use their ARPA funding to match whatever your spending is going to be able to do. Now, look, there are 2 chambers over there and a governor who's got to sign the bill. So, you know, we're a long way from being home on that. That would be great news for you guys if obviously if he decided, or if the legislature decided to do that, not just him. But you know, that certainly fits into sort of our calculations as we're here to try to give you our best advice on how to move forward on this.
Have y'all considered how you approach that whenever you've got, some of this stuff we might just need to talk about privately, but you're saying things that are clicking in my head.
Yeah.
If you have funding, you got $9 million
Yep.
and there are all these tags attached to that $9 million, how are we going to combine these? I mean, if we're already having a hard enough time figuring out how to spend the $9 million.
Okay, so I think that we may be able to best answer your question by switching to page 6 and talking about your priorities that you've given us so far.
That's a great question.
And then let's see if we can answer your question that way. So, look, these are the priorities that you guys have given us here recently. If these have changed, y'all just got to tell us. Obviously, the first one you guys have said is the county lake. Oktibbeha County Lake has been number 1 on your list this entire year, post legislative session. So our recommendation, and I'll let Riker fill in the holes here, is that you consider using ARPA funding for it. Riker, do you want to explain why we think they can use that?
So tourism is one of the impacted industries that you're allowed to spend ARPA funds on. And through our conversations with just relevant entities, whether it's other counties, county administrators, or accountants that are kind of handling some of this in other states, a lot of other counties are starting to push the envelope because they don't know what to spend the money on, and a lot of them are looking towards tourism. So we know a county in Tennessee that has a very major attraction that has 1 main road leading to and from this attraction. Well, that road dictates that entire tourism for that county, basically. And so they're going to repave and redo that road with ARPA funds under the guise of tourism.
And we see 2 states.
And then Vermont is also buying mobile homes and relocating them because they are repetitively flooded. I don't know how that relates to tourism, but they're pushing the envelope there as well. And then Florida County is following suit and doing the same thing.
But we've also seen the state of Florida, who the legislature is moving $25 million into tourism spending into their tourism department. And then we see Alaska's doing the same thing.
Yeah,
so we're seeing 2 states that are following the guise of, hey, we're going to use, not the guise, but the direction of you can use ARPA funding for tourism. So, you know, when we think about the Oktibbeha County Lake, it's my understanding, y'all please correct me if I'm wrong, that lake definitely has a tourism, a recreational aspect to it. There's a campground there, I think that's right. So we think we can make a pretty good argument. I'm looking at the attorney in the room, the one that I know, that this involves tourism. Now listen, I know that there's another study that was being done to figure out exactly what are the costs, what are the issues with the lake. I haven't been told that there's any final decisions or updates. Yes, sir. So I guess once you get that back, we think that this would be a good opportunity. we can't find right now another avenue of where to find funds, for the lake, for the dam. I just, I think it would be very difficult for us to go to the legislature to get funding on that. And we didn't see anything else in the infrastructure bill that addressed this. So it's your number one issue on your priority list.
Unless it's used for wastewater, I mean, that's the only creative way you're going to be able to justify spending that money on it is tourism. It's not a wastewater retention pond. It doesn't fall in the other categories.
And then if the lieutenant governor moves forward and the House goes along and the governor goes along with his decision to have a matching program for ARPA funding, let's say that this project costs $10, you guys put up $5, they would put up the other $5 with the county lake. So, yes, sir.
So what you're saying, that's an initiative I think the Supervisors Association need to get behind. Just like they came up with the formula to give the counties the ARPA money based upon population, why can't the legislature, and I know this would take an act of God, but things happen. Why can't they just come up with a system and say, we're going to match? How much money did the legislature get from ARPA?
1.6 billion.
So they got enough to match the counties dollar for dollar coming out the door.
That would be a no more than likely. I hate to say it like that, but some of this.
I would think that I'll best to answer this.
And still have money to do other things.
Yes, sir. I would think that any match dollars that you can get from the legislature, whether they were 100% or 10%, it's great. It's free money for you. But there's no way that we can sit here or predict what they may do. You did begin with a question, which was, should the Supervisors Association
That's what I'm
support
saying.
this?
See, if the Supervisors Association get behind it, the state of Mississippi,
If I was a supervisor, I would want my association to support that because that's more money that's coming into my account.
And that's the idea I'm going to bring
Yes,
to
sir.
the executive committee with the Supervisors Association.
I think that makes a lot of
To
sense.
me, that's the easiest way to do it. I mean, you got the money there. If the whole state give out and say, look, we want y'all to match dollar for dollar every county that we got, if it can be done, or 50 cents on a dollar, whatever. And just
Whatever
keep it
you
simple.
get is going to be free money. Yes, ma'am.
Keep it simple, keep the politics out of it. And to me, that's the most logical way to go. But hey, anything can happen.
That's right.
Okay, so looking at some of these roads that we're still waiting to put out for bid, and I don't know why on some of them we are, but that we got partial funding from the state for. So let's talk about Octok Road. That goes to the refuge. So that there's a shortfall in there. Why can't we use ARPA money? Because it's tourism. I mean, that's how you get to the Knox City Refuge. Can you be creative like that? And I'm
Absolutely.
asking this, the horse park. We've been out there for that race grant forever. I don't know that we're ever going to get that. I left 4-year money for us to finish Poorhouse Road. That has yet to go out for bid. I'm not sure why. We've several times been down this road with that. But, if there's a shortfall, even with because it is to a tourist destination, it's going to Mississippi State University and it's going to the horse park, can that money be used for that?
Because I know Octok so well, I think that's a great example of one where there is a shortfall and we just didn't realize it. I think that's a great example.
That's a big shortfall. Continue to double in terms of the cost of it.
Inflation. I think it's a great example. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, we identified the county lake as just what we thought was the number one priority that we didn't have.
Oh, no, it's a priority, but I think we went to this last meeting
That's right.
and we don't have the document yet, but it appears it's not going to be a full,
No,
based off
but
what we saw.
You can't make
It-
assumptions with that. That until all the final data is in, that's when we can make an assumption. But to make an assumption right now is just premature. So I don't even want to. There's no point in you putting out on the table that you don't think. Let's take the thinking out of this.
I don't have any
Based
numbers
off of
to
what
go off of,
MDEQ,
but
Dam Safety said.
you're not restricted to one project with those funds either. So if there's a way we can address all the projects with hopefully $18 million,
Listen, let me just, and I say this every meeting. We keep sitting here, and you all keep in a roundabout way telling us we can't find money for the county lake dam. I've told the board you might as well forget it, strap up your boots and let's fix the County Lake Dam and take the taxpayers' dollars that we're paying you to go and pursue some other projects that you know we can get funding for. Right now, listen, this is a board problem that the board is gonna have to solve, regardless. If it takes the ARPA money, it takes the ARPA money. But to keep bouncing this thing around, listen, the board knows it's sitting there. The board knows it's gotta be fixed, let's fix it and move on. That's the bottom line.
Well, I guess I would say to you, obviously that's y'all's prerogative, but I think what we've given you is a good option.
Yeah.
That we've found you can use ARPA money for that because of tourism, so that just gives you
Good
an
deal.
an
Good
option.
deal.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate
So
it.
as we talk about, yes, sir.
Let's just continue on. However, Octop is not a priority, the County Lake is the top priority here. That doesn't mean that Octop could not fall within that category down to number 5 or number 6.
Yes, sir.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
Because you wouldn't want to not present it, because if one doesn't make, and I think we need to have more than one listing, or more than 3 listings, maybe more than 4 listings. Because if one of those listings doesn't make, maybe the 5th or the 6th listing might make.
Yes, sir. And I will say about Octok, it is such a great project, and one of the big reasons was you had the university and the city that were on board. Particularly, the university was on board with that because I mean, obviously, that's a road that goes in the county, the city, and on campus, and that helps when you're asking for money from the legislature. Which leads us to Sturgis Maven and Crawford Road. I know Sturgis Maven has been a priority for John's for a long time. Yes, sir.
Let's continue on with that. Could Octop come down to number, we got 6 others, 5 is the county bridges, and maybe Octop could be number 6, maybe.
We can put it wherever y'all tell us to.
Yeah, number 6.
Well, my thing was, these are the legislative plans, but then you said maybe the ARPA money could be used for this. So if that was my point, is that instead of putting that on the legislative plan, if it can be deemed as tourism, because there is such a large amount of ARPA money out there, you know, the county lake dam first when we get the reports back and know what we need to do. And then if there is extra money, can we use that to supplement and finish Octok the right way that it needs to be finished? That instead of putting it on the legislative plan, because I think that it could fall under tourism. And you're just, this at the top, this says current legislative plan, but you just said this is not really the legislative plan.
Yeah, we have projects as well.
I tried to combine it
yeah.
all in one section.
Yeah, that was what my point I was making to the board.
That's my fault. I put that all.
I agree
No,
with you.
that's,
I mean, obviously, you know, the county lake is a priority number 1. See where you are once you figure out what the price tag is with it, how much ARPA money you have. What does the legislature decide to do in terms of a match? Is there a match? What is the match for your ARPA funds? And that lets you figure out exactly what your budget is. And you might say, hey, yeah, let's move the balance of Octok to that. Yes, sir.
There's some pending legislation, I think, before the House, the U.S. House, that's going to probably give counties more flexibility with the ARPA money. I think it passed the Senate.
I hadn't checked.
And NACO's been following it.
Yeah, NACO
And
has.
it probably is going to pass the House once they come back in session. So that'll give you more flexibility to where you probably can utilize the ARPA money for.
Well, I hoped that they were going to give flexibility, and I thought they were waiting on the infrastructure bill to give the final guidance because they quit updating the interim about July and have just updated reporting requirements.
To his point, though, if that changes, and I'm not trying to get before everybody panics. I'm not trying to get any project in front of another project or anything like that. But if that happens, there is a potential that we could change gears on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So how quick could we pivot if we had to?
You can pivot the funds do not have to be obligated until December 31st, 2024, spent by 2026. So you have time.
We could go through half of our funds, just for argument's sake, let's say we could go through half of our funds that we're talking about these projects and come back next year and have plenty of time to do that.
I think so.
Okay, I'm good. I just wanted to make sure I had a pivot plan if we needed one.
Question on the county.
Just to interject something? The plan had to be made by 2024.
Yes.
Made by then. That doesn't mean that we cannot make those plans before
No, absolutely not.
2024.
Soon as
And
you
it
want.
doesn't mean that we cannot spend those funds. We don't have to wait until
No,
2026 to actually spend the funds.
Have to be spent by then.
Yeah, by that time.
Yes, sir.
So we can start working on the actual spending of that at any time we see
Yeah,
fit.
and if the ARPA funds come back and we know that they can be used on these higher priorities, then we could focus our legislative issues on roads like the Sturgis-Maven Road. Is that maybe what we could do? If we know that we could use that ARPA money for the lake levy, then those projects would move up in priority, just simply because we know that we're having funds from a different area?
Well, here's what, my question is a timetable on, and I guess this is for us, when are we gonna know the findings on the county levy?
Should be knowing something. Here's what we know to this point. We pretty much already know that the slopes are not adequate, that the slopes gotta be redone, the emergency spillway's gotta be redone, the spillway's gotta be redone, it's not big enough. So all of the outside cosmetics, we already know, we've been told that, and it's the same thing. The one thing we're waiting on now is the core analysis. They bored several different locations into the core, and they're analyzing the material that comes out of the core. Once they get that analyzed, then they'll report back to us, okay, the core, we feel like the core is fine, so we just fix all of the rest of it, or we don't think the core is sufficient. So therefore, let's start over. So that's what we're waiting on now. And so instead of guessing on what they're gonna say, let's just wait and let us in.
Well, that
because
was my-
see, some people is under the impression that the core is this super hard rock thing that sits in the middle. The core is gummy, gumbo type mud is what the core is in the lake. So that's we're waiting on the final analysis from the core.
But the MDEQ was out there the entire time they were drilling, and that's who we had the meeting with, and their perception was that they didn't think, am I saying this wrong?
Here we go thinking again.
But they were there the entire
thinking,
time.
But the MDEQ was there looking. MDEQ is not the analysis. The engineering firm is the one that's gonna do the analysis.
And I was just wondering the time, I'm not getting into
it should be here,
month,
should
2
be
months.
soon, should be within a month, I would think.
Well,
I would've thought we'd already had it.
I would too.
Well, I think the answers on the county lake
Yeah.
is gonna domino
Have you called?
affect the others behind that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would be I want that core to be solid. I mean, I really do. It'd be a slam dunk for the county.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the better the core is the better. I mean, because look, if the core is solid and all we gotta do is the slopes and the spillways and all the things that we know, I mean, we may have money for Sturgis-Maven and Crawford Road, because he can't never do Crawford Road in I mean, a $3.5 million project. How you ever?
Well, can I say this because of what you just said in response? Now we have two things. One is we want to make sure that we work with Rob and probably our federal delegation to ensure that if you're going to use this for tourism, that is absolutely allowable. Because what we don't want is for you to do this and then the feds come back and go, oh, guess what? You weren't able to do that. So we're telling you this because we're pretty confident you can do this, because we've seen states, the state of Florida, the state of Alaska, the state of Tennessee, Coffee County, Tennessee. I said Tennessee, I'm going to say Alaska. Who are doing this, but you know, we want to make sure this is 100% right. We feel pretty good about that. Now, you just talked about Sturgis, Maven, and Crawford. I'm not sure that you could use ARPA funding for those. I mean, you have to be able to talk about tourism. I mean, is there a tourism play into Sturgis, Maven Road and Crawford Road? I don't know the answer to that. So I don't want to get your hopes up that we could use ARPA funding for that until we know that.
There's endangered red-headed woodpeckers up and down that road.
So I'm
Hamel Hill. Well, what is Artega? Whatever
to a
that
bird
is.
watcher.
I'm just saying that out loud.
But on that same note, though, there is, and we talked about this earlier, increased highway funding for both the surface transportation block grants and the highway trust funds. and those will end up with MDOT. And so we have our normal methods of working with MDOT and the state legislature to try to get funding for those 2 roads. And there's going to be more funding out there this year.
And we know that we're going to be able to go to the legislature this year for the bond bill. And as Riker just said, the legislature will have more dollars to spend on projects if they deem that necessary. And you know, obviously, you guys have had Sturgis-Maven as a road you wanted us to try to get legislative funding for a long time. I'm not confident. I'm not 100% confident that we can get that done. I'm not saying that we can't, but I felt like Octoc was such a. This is just me being candid. Octoc was such a home run last year because it hit county, city, and it hit the university, and that was an easy ask. But I just know for you, we've got to make sure we're on multiple paths for Sturgis-Maven of trying to find funding, and one of those may be ARPA, but I just don't want to get us, too out in front of
ARPA,
that.
and then like you said, what the lieutenant governor saying, the match.
Yes,
and
sir.
I don't know.
But you still have the requirements, and that's what he's saying.
Right.
He's just a little nervous about how that's going to.
But I'm sorry, Rob, but the other 2 options could be, as Riker said, we've got 2 massively plussed up grant programs, the Surface Transportation Block Grant and Highway Trust Fund. Those are both going to be sitting at MDOT, we believe, where that money will be.
So let me ask this question, and this is Sturgis-Maven, Crawford Road, any road that doesn't fit the narrative, right? That really is the need of the county. We did board orders. We did a board order on Sturgis-Maven. We did one on the county lake. I can't remember if we did one on Crawford Road. I think we may have. But I mean, do you need board orders like that to take to our legislative body?
100%. No, just like we had with Octoc, you guys are going to have to pass a resolution saying this is what we unanimously support, asking for legislative funds. The same thing we did for Octoc.
And we did that.
Yes, sir. We would need that. Worst case scenario, your first board meeting in January, probably could hold it off till then, and we'd be okay.
We've already done that. That's what I'm saying. We can get you that.
If you've got it, that's great.
Yeah.
If you already
Can
done
you
it.
get those minutes from Mr. Lois when you're done?
Yeah.
And we're talking
Those board
2
orders?
different funding streams on this,
100%.
right?
Well, there's
Not-
really
not
there's
all of
there's
them,
there's
not-
3 different funding streams. ARPA, these grant programs that were in infrastructure that are at MDOT, and then going to the legislature and asking for money.
And speaking about the ARPA funding, and if we identify 6, 7, 8 different projects for the ARPA funding, each one of those projects are still their individual projects, so they've got to follow. We've got to have somebody that's filing proper paperwork and get it approved, file proper paperwork and follow that process completely through.
Yes.
So you can't just, it's, each one of them has got to, and so there's a certain percentage that people are charging to handle these projects, correct? So if,
Typically, yes.
so each project will have a fee attached to it as far as the handling and the.
I guess there's some kind of grant administrator that you guys are probably contracted with for that.
We may discuss that later in this meeting as one of our.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I saw it in the minutes.
so I know we've gotten something on Sturgis-Maven from Clyde. I think that talked about cost and because we'll obviously we'll have to have that just like we had for Octoc, and then the same would be for Crawford Road. In order for us to legitimately go try to get those funds, we're going to have all that. Something from your engineer. Brickley, you asked us about the Louisville Sturgis route. We're working with MDOT on that.
Yeah.
We're very preliminary. We don't have much.
Okay,
Have much
so can I share a
for.
few things with you on that?
Yes, ma'am.
So Jimmy Kemp, other than coming here and getting a board, us to move forward on that. Last week, Commissioner Caldwell was coming in town with Sutton and gave me a call and we ate lunch. The road is built to state aid standards, but Commissioner Caldwell said that doesn't necessarily mean that it will get approved because it may not be built to highway standards. So I have had lunch with him and had some communication about that.
Okay.
But we need to, Mr. Kemp called on Friday wanting to get in contact with y'all to help with the legislative because sometimes those are approved through public-private, I mean, private.
Local private.
Local private.
Okay.
But I don't know if that, will happen that way or not. So if it's okay with the board, I'd like to get Mr. Kemp in contact with y'all, and then he would like Senator Williams to be included on what's going on too, because it's in his district.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
We've already talked about bridges. Obviously, there's a list of 4 that we're gonna get from Clyde. So that's it for our presentation and for our understanding of what your priorities are.
Hey, real quick, and I'm asking Supervisor Trainer, did we do a board order on Crawford Road?
I thought we did. I thought we put it all
we
together.
did the 1, 2,
Okay.
3.
I thought it was in there,
I
yeah.
was just making sure, so gather them all up,
Would it be would it be fair to say that we should be in terms of planning, having matching funding on our side, getting ready for some of this? In other words, if we're wanting the most bang for our buck, and there's a way for us to have some bonding authority that we've done, would we be better off? I realize we've got the ARPA money that we've got here, but do we need to be preparing to have some side money to sweeten the pot?
So that would be
makes
for
sense.
like the Surface Transportation Block Grant or
Right.
Highway Trust Fund?
Yes.
Okay.
So I most of the ones that are in there that applied, I have, if there were federal limits, I have them included. So like the Bridge Investment Program, I included the cap in there. I don't believe there's a cap on the Surface Transportation Block Grant since that's allocated through the state.
Is that 100% federal, or does the county have to have matching funds for that? We don't know.
I don't think there are matching funds required for that.
Let us triple check that for you, though, Rob. That's a great question.
I just don't want to. I just want to make sure that I don't get caught flat-footed with. If we have to.
We're in a good position.
We're in a great position.
Because we have that bond outstanding.
We do,
But
the reality is that if we keep.
I know. I get it.
Some of it's already been spent from what I can gather. What he said. It's all going in a direction.
And also what makes that job difficult is that we got 3 projects with money that they've given us, and we have not started them projects. That's what we need to be focusing on, get them projects started. How can he go and ask the legislature for more money when we had spent the money they already gave?
Hey, how
agree on how to
come
spend money.
we can't get a board order passed to put the Poorhouse Road out for bid?
Well,
How
see,
much y'all want to support that?
We've been waiting on that for the long.
How many times have I raised my hand and said, let's put it out for bid? And it hadn't happened.
No, I don't remember that.
Yes, well, let's make it right now. I make the motion that we put Poorhouse Road out for bid.
Okay, motion by
Second.
Supervisor Miller.
I don't have a problem with that, but I don't remember.
I thought we approved it.
No, we didn't.
The
Y'all
last
didn't
time
because
Clyde was here.
Clyde kept running roadblocks on it. So,
Well, we're not waiting on a meeting with
Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday. That's what we've been
that
waiting
doesn't
on
have
get
anything to
clarity.
do, that does not have anything to do with this project. You're either gonna back up what you just said and vote with me to get Poorhouse Road moving forward, or you're not.
We did, but you've been the roadblock. It ain't
No,
been
I
us.
have not.
Yes, you have.
I have made the motion 3 times. This is the, well,
Have you? So you
Raise
made
your
the
hand.
motion 3 times, and
Yes.
it's been voted down.
it has not gone through. Yes.
It has. Well, call me a liar. Okay, well let's move on this then.
I second.
And I will
Motion
say it's
second.
because of Clyde. He something wasn't right with the bid, or I don't know what was going on.
It was some stipulations
Yeah.
there. Now, it wasn't that cut and dry.
Something
Right.
like
It hadn't been that cut and
It was
dry.
something in there that, it was
Okay.
something to do with Clyde.
Let's do it.
So,
I got a
mean,
motion to make after that one, though.
Okay, well, no problem.
Motion to.
Okay.
I second.
Motion to put Poorhouse Road out for bid. Motion by Supervisor Miller.
Yeah,
second
but
by-
we still haven't gotten the current state aid. What it was we needed to get the current state aid. You remember it was a night meeting, and I detailed how much the state aid was supposed to say on there. It was supposed to be $427,000, and that's what Mr. Harry Lee James said, was, Brickley, you need a updated state aid submission.
Right.
And we have never gotten that back from Clyde, is my understanding. So I want to put it out for bid with the updated state aid money allocated.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery, to put Poorhouse Road out for bid. with those stipulations that was discussed in relation to state aid. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and dedicate the ARPA funding toward the repair of the County Lake Dam upon reception of the suggestion for repair.
When they get back the,
Yeah.
I have no problem
How
with
much
that.
aqua fund? All of it, 9.6?
We get motions in place.
I'll second that.
Would
I
you accept
have no
a
problem with that.
friendly amendment?
Yes, sir.
If we're gonna fix that dam, would you accept a friendly amendment of us acquiring the control of the county lake? Because if we're gonna put that kind of money in that dam, we need to control that lake.
That can be two separate paths. We
No,
we
well,
can.
And the water park, you're gonna buy the water park
We need
still.
to control all of it.
But we've got to fix the dam regardless.
But if we fix the dam, and we don't control the water park, a private business is gonna benefit from
Well,
it.
That's
I'm
okay.
not
We
gonna
believe
throw
in
any
that.
other complications.
To your
fix the
point
dam.
though, and I mean, I get where you're going,
Yeah.
because like I said, if,
The citizens
we
need,
put the grease in the hip, then we should
we
be
should
able
benefit
to.
from it. And I think it can be a good long-term
don't mind,
investment.
But
doing
I
that.
don't know how
But how are you
legally,
gonna do that?
legally, how we gonna be able
We
to
can get it
take
done.
16 section land from the school?
We can get it done.
I've been thinking about going to Disney here in a minute.
But you talking about what, $9 million?
Well,
To read it out in there?
Well,
There's
if
no
we
way to-
gonna do it, I mean,
I
but
can't
how are you gonna
discuss
do it?
purchasing
We need to sit down and figure it out.
But
There's
that
no way.
doesn't stop us from having to fix the dam.
I
We
know.
can't wait to fix the dam to acquire the lake.
But I'm
The
just,
person that laughed was you, and you
you know,
actually.
that's just a
Well,
friendly
first of all, we're only responsible for the road and the dam.
Apparently, listen, we got a motion on the
But you may
table
not
and
accept it.
and
I
a
second
second.
Could you
And-
specify how much?
It just seems like every time this
we got,
motion comes up, we've got to have these long, drawn-out discussions.
I believe we got 9.6 million.
I'm good with it, but I mean,
Right, we got about half
it's
of it.
whatever
In
we
the
gotta
back.
use
got
That's all I'm saying.
from the findings.
If it's all, it's all. If it's
The
1
findings are
million,
gonna
it's
be the
1 million.
findings no matter what.
Regardless.
And we gotta fix it, and then we get the county lake done, then whatever money's left over, domino effect will be able.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I just don't, I get what you're saying, I don't know how we'd be able to take it from school legally.
I think you could. I think if you could, you get the citizens behind it and then get someone to help you put together a
But that's
package
not-
to where it's
that's-
gonna
that-
benefit
that
the county.
can't-
I think it'll get a lot of public support.
Orlando, that
I'm
can't be the
for it. It's
stipulation
just I
for
don't
fixing the
legally
dam.
It's
know
not
how.
stipulated fixing the
That
dam.
can't be
Cause we know we got to
stipulated.
fix the dam. We got to
Okay,
fix the dam.
okay, well, that's all that's what my motion
We know
is
we got
now.
to fix the dam.
That's all my motion is now.
Okay.
We got a motion and a second.
A motion for using ARPA funding as to the amount as the engineering firm finds to dedicate that funding source.
Correct.
And that could be as much as the whole 9.6
It
million.
could be 9 or it could be 1 million. We just,
I know.
Man, I don't know.
And we're gonna get you guys examples of ARPA funding being used for tourism and other places. Rob will send that to you.
I think you're gonna have the flexibility, not even have to go through that. I think that legislation's gonna pass, and you can use that money for whatever
Probably
you
right.
deem it necessary.
I would
But
not.
now,
Yes.
that's just me.
a supervisor,
Yeah, we
Mr.
got a
President,
motion.
you gonna carry this?
Right. Y'all still talking.
Okay, we ready to carry.
Okay.
Hey, let me ask, I do one thing, and this is to try to help his cause. Is there anything we could put in there to try to ask the state for matching funds, or we're just premature on that, aren't we?
Well, that may happen anyway.
I don't know that. I
And
don't
if
know
it
that
happens, it just
preclude-
makes the
Would
pot.
give us
I don't think
half of that
this
back.
motion precludes that.
Right.
Okay, right, fair enough.
We're just dedicating funding, so now that when we go out seeking help, he said, okay, they've already put some skin in the game, which is gonna help matters. That's what we've been needing
That's
to
actually
do
not a bad idea.
from the
to get
beginning.
funding.
I mean, that's what we've been needing to do.
Okay, we have a motion. The motion is by, okay, Supervisor Howard, yeah, motion by
Man.
Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Any additional questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
There we go. Get it going.
Now, what's the status of Opt-out Road?
Well, we need to move forward with, advertising. We need to advertise for our top road, so I'm gonna get a motion my motion is that we advertise for, the repair of our top road.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer. Any additional questions?
So who's gonna do the advertising? Are we giving this to Clyde to put out for advertising?
Well, it's
and
state
bids?
aid, so, it's state aid road, so I'm sure he would have to be the one.
Well, your program's still gonna need to be updated just like mine.
Right.
So you need to put that in your motion, that your program is updated with the current amount of state aid money.
Program up there.
That's what he has, that's what he's not been doing, is redoing the programs, even though we've had board orders. We had a board order on that, that's where the confusion comes in. That was that night board meeting, we were in the big boardroom.
So are we meeting with Harry Lee Wednesday?
Wednesday.
And we can get a
10.
lot of this cleared up.
Yes.
This is what we've been waiting on to get cleared up.
So, we advertise for our top road with those amendments, for the state aid dollars. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Do we have any other?
Not this time.
Well, thank you all very much.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
You didn't speak any about, wastewater management. And I would think that this is, wastewater management is in this proposal.
So I'm gonna turn that over to Riker. Riker has had some conversations.
East Octagon Hall Wastewater Management. They said that they were taking over a larger percentage of the county's wastewater management. Is that still accurate?
Yeah, they're expanding, but
Are they at like 25% right now of the county's capacity? He gave me the numbers. I had it written down. I don't have it with me.
Yeah, our plans, Mr. Williams, is to try to work with that gentleman, to try to help him in Jackson as best as we possibly can. We should have included that in there, but we didn't. But that's just that's my mistake on that. But yeah, Riker has talked to him. He's supposed to come see us again sometime in December and January. We're going to help him, whether it's at MDOT or DEQ or the legislature, as best as we can. Now, we're not going to. I don't think there's any funding requests from him. Hopefully not, because we have other priorities. Y'all have other priorities for funding requests. But if that does come up with him, we'll come back to you guys and see how you want us to handle that.
How much communication have you had with him?
Riker's had 2 conversations with him, is that
Yeah.
right? In the past, probably 2
We've talked to him a couple times. Yeah, I knew that he was looking for funding, and so I planned to loop him into all the funding opportunities available. Those funding opportunities wouldn't have competed with what y'all wanted as a county, and so I just assumed that these were county priorities, and so that's why I focused on these here.
And when I said funding, I meant going to the legislature asking for funding, excuse me, not grants. That was not what I meant. Okay, well, thank you guys very much, and we'll be back very soon to talk to you.
Good.
Thank you.
you.
Appreciate your
Thank
marching
you.
orders.
Appreciate you.
Okay, y'all have a good one.
Oh, so moved.
Motion by
Second.
Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Montgomery, that we acknowledge the
Clearwater.
report. Are there additional questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Moving forward. Road manager's report, Mr. Baggett.
Good evening.
Morning.
It ain't quite afternoon yet.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or comments regarding the road manager's report?
I guess I don't have a question as far as the report, but it's been just floating around in my mind. I was going to ask, but you know, I guess this is as good a time as any. You know, we used to have on our 4-year road plan. In other words, we would have our you know, our grubbing crew and our road building crew. They would kind of rotate from district to district. Brown Road, for instance, was, I guess, the only road that I've gotten done since I've been in office that way. Do we know where we're at as far as that rotation at the moment? Or are we still doing that rotation? Or we just kind of
Well, we have two groups, two crews that can rub equally the same. And so when we go on the road, we just send either one of those two or both of them.
So what are
And,
they?
and rotation, no, I think, for example, like Morris Road, that's in your area, Morris Road.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so Derek went out there and
Cut
grubbed-
some trees, yeah.
Right,
Okay.
and pretty much grubbed down and it's ready.
Yeah, I mean, I just was wanting to know my district, anybody's district, whoever's district, just kind of where they were in the rotation. That was it. I mean, no gotcha, this or that. I was just wondering kind of where they were in that.
Well, we don't know. Just to answer your question, no. Rotating like that, we don't. We just get the roads we can, based on where, what the weather is and all this. We haven't done much grubbing this year because of pretty much the weather. And what happens is, and I guess I need to get with you because I was thinking that majority of your money, and I might have totally missed this, for your road plan money was going to be obligated to
Maybe Sturgis.
Right.
Well, I'm just beyond the 4-year road plan money. Our crew rotated.
Yeah.
On top of that, I just was just curious. Didn't mean to start a whole.
Right, I understand. Well, the last. Okay, for example, it came up that this road in District 4, I can't think of the name of it right now, King's Arms or something like that, needed some work done on that. We sent the grubbing crew out there and they grubbed it.
Okay.
And it doesn't take really that long to grub the road.
That was when they cleaned up that extension on that road. Remember that guy that came up here? I think it took him a day to do it.
I just didn't know. Maybe next year we could, and it may be Supervisor Howard's district, I didn't know whose district it was in. It just kind of where that grubbing crew was at.
Well, right now the grubbing crew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been on Turner Road?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh, lately this week. Okay.
They've done a lot down there.
The
by
grubbing
that,
crew was out there.
where it sloughed off on that ditch right there.
It sloughed off on the ditch and and across on the other side of the bridge.
Okay.
And see, that was a major project.
Yeah, which is fine. I was just.
And so.
So they're just kind of handling, which is.
We try to keep that as diversified as we can.
Okay.
There's no, just say, grubbing, per se grubbing crew that does nothing but grubbing.
I got you. Okay.
And it works well that way. If I know Mr. Williams has been on us, and I've been working with him about Harris Road. See, we'll go to Harris Road, and Harris Road won't take but 3 weeks to grub. And regardless to what you might be thinking or whatever, it just won't take any longer than that because we've got 2 excavators. If both of those excavators are available, we'll put one on one end, one on the other end, and they'll be grubbed. And Harold Road has to be, the cross-section has to be defined, but the road is grubbed. I mean, it's totally grubbed, all the material has been hauled on. And so grubbing, we've done a lot of grubbing on Camp Airport Road. We did a small amount of grubbing on, what's the other road we just left? Start with an S in your area.
Not Sellers, no. Sun Creek?
Watershed?
No, the other one. Where the
Creek line?
No, it's another.
Sherfield.
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 Yeah. And so I don't know how big of an issue grubbing was, or has been in the past. I mean, how it's viewed as being a really difficult thing, but right now it's not. And once we, and we'll have 3 excavators real soon. And we have 3 or 4 very capable men on those escalators, so grubbing is not gonna be a bottleneck. The bottleneck we're gonna have is with the weather and being able to shake the roads once they're grubbed. And the next issue that's gonna occur, and it's gonna be a very big issue next summer, is whether or not we can acquire the equipment, not the equipment, the materials to do the road. And, something like Harold, you know. And I feel that we should have a backup plan in place, whereas we use 610 material, 8 inches of 610 material, which is about the same cost or a little less, and start to stockpile that material maybe in April. Otherwise, we still won't get anywhere building roads if we can't get the materials. And so grubbing is really not
Not the holdback. Okay.
it's not a holdback at all.
The 610 crusher run type material.
Mm-hmm.
So you stockpiling that and using that instead of soil cement if you had to?
Yeah, that's just
If you had to?
that's just a preliminary recommendation. Yes. We're not doing it now, but it's if it turns out that we're not going to be able to get soil cement, then we can do that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see grubbing as being a stickler at all.
When do you think we need to start thinking about stockpiling 610 material?
In April. We need to somehow put out a bid or something to see if we're gonna be able to get
Crushed concrete.
soil cement.
Okay, but crusher run.
Yeah,
You know,
crusher
not,
run.
not crushed concrete.
No, not crushed concrete, crusher run. That's that 610 material.
All right. Didn't mean to start all that. Go ahead.
No, it was
That's a
it was
good
gonna be.
conversation because we do need
Yeah.
to be ready to start working when the weather break this spring.
And we need to have material.
We need to have the material.
And the
ready to
citizens,
go.
a lot of them have started calling me about these roads, do not understand that you don't have the material. All they know is that I was told my road was gonna be done and it wasn't done. Nothing else matters, really.
Now let's move forward with something else. What type of communication have you had with Clyde Pritchett for advertising for soil cement, and how can we move that project forward? I think there gotta be some communication between the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
So are you and Clyde in communication with what need to be done to get soil cement in place? And what's the timeline, and working on a timeline for that?
No, I'm not right at this moment because I don't know how long advertisements, commodity advertisements last. I don't know if it's 6 months or 8 months or what. But just to answer your question, no. We will. And what I'll do is do my best to predict what roads we're gonna be able to construct. So that can be a part of his bid as well. But some shorter roads, maybe kind of lower traffic roads, say like Morris and that little short section over there that we have to grade. I think pressure on will hold up well on those roads.
Yeah.
8 inches of pressure, and we can do that at any time.
I
As long
like
as
crusher run.
Huh?
I like crusher run. It doesn't crack like
That's
soil
right, it
cement
doesn't crack like
does.
soil cement.
So I'm pleased with jobs that have been done with crusher run in the past.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from Mr. Baggett?
I've looked at his manager's report, and I'll make the motion to approve his report.
Second. Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Trainer, that we approve Mr.
Acknowledge.
Report of that question.
Or acknowledge it.
Yeah,
yes.
acknowledge.
Acknowledge. Well, we've been approving it.
Oh, yeah, we can acknowledge it.
Anyway, I thought we'd been approving it.
Just acknowledge it.
But it doesn't matter, whatever we've been doing, we'll continue to do it.
I didn't do.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, now I need some clarification on some things. We were talking about this waste dirt, and all the time I've been here, we've done everything from loaded waste dirt directly from the job onto private carriers. And a couple of times private carriers have came to the shop and gotten it. But apparently that's an issue at this time.
It's always been an issue. Why would you think that you could, I'm just asking, why would you think that it would be okay to use county equipment and county gas to load dirt into a private company?
Okay, if the board agrees.
When did the board agree to do that?
That's been the policy all the time.
Okay, I said if, I hadn't finished my statement. I didn't say the board agreed to that. I didn't say that.
Okay.
If the board agrees that we can distribute this trash dirt, that we can load it on our trucks and haul it to different areas, then it would seem it would be cheaper, because we gotta use more equipment otherwise, to do it this other way. If the people can come in and do that.
Who was the company that you loaded it for?
What company?
What company
I can't
was
think
it
of all
that Saturday that you
that
loaded
Saturday,
it for?
that was two people. That was just a private individual. That was not a company. That man got 12 yards of material. The man that loaded it, regardless of what you've heard, I'm telling you what happened. The man that loaded it was not on the clock. He loaded it. Well, he loaded it voluntarily. We got the payroll records.
I'm not saying he was on the clock, but the private businessman paid him because he told that.
No.
He
no.
told that the private businessman paid him and he was
didn't
on
tell me
county
that.
equipment.
He didn't tell me that.
Okay.
I did not know that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have taken care of it.
So long as we're not gonna get into personnel issues, naming any names, we're good with open, but.
Right.
it don't-
Wasn't going to say any names.
You're good.
I'm just
I
telling
will
you that.
check. I will check with that, and if that happened, then I will take care of it. But that's not what I was told. Now, I don't know this. I don't know if this person came to you and told you that. I don't know why he would, but if that's what happened, then I will take care of that. So now, if the board would clear this issue up with me regarding this waste material, because if you come to the shop, if you had 3 acres of property, and on that property, you had 10,000 cubic yards of waste dirt, of waste concrete, of junk like that is out there like that, what would that property be worth? If you got to clean it up.
There's two issues here. One is the value of how much it costs to clean that up, which is your point. The other flip side of that is if the dirt has value. Some dirt has value, some dirt does not. More than likely, the dirt we're talking about here has limited value. The AG, I did an AG's opinion report. There's actually a document in each of your packet that discusses this. The part of this that is relevant to what we're talking about here in terms of giving us kind of a direction to go in, it says it's the opinion of the office of the Board of Supervisors made consistent with the fact and in order spread upon its minutes that excess dirt generated by activities of the county as to which excess dirt is not in the best interest of the county to either store for future county use or to sell personal property no longer needed by the county may place upon the property of certain landowners whose names, properly, location, and there is listed upon consistent therein. However, we opine that each activity, and this is the part that's relevant to us, However, we opine that each activity or project whereby excess dirt is generated by activity by the county, the Board of Supervisors may not place such excess dirt upon private property unless it's previously been found that the sale of such excess dirt is not economically feasible. I take this to mean, as big of a headache as this, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about a little bit ago about putting it in your minutes, as big of a headache as this sounds like it is, every time we have a situation where we're trying to figure out what to do, we need to, first of all, determine whether or not there's any value in this property. If there is no value in this property, which sometimes it's just not, but if there is no value in this property, we need to spread upon our minutes what we're doing. In other words, to cover you, to cover this board, we have to determine that there's no value. The secondary position is this: what are we going to do with it? And if and there are people out there, I think we're all aware of places that have low spots that people would be willing to let us dump this property out. Now, this has been an ongoing problem for you that you're trying to find some solutions to. I think one of the solutions would be is whenever you generate enough of this, let's bring it before the board. The next, whatever board meeting's the closest for you, determine that make a determination. Let this board make a determination that if there's no value to it, there may be a time you come in here and say there is value to it. There may be some topsoil or something like that that somebody's willing to purchase, and we would determine that at that point. But the bulk of what I'm hearing you talk about has been, and the biggest problem has been, dirt that really has no real value except for somebody who wants to throw it into an area.
In prior years, we had a list, and it was submitted to the board so we could see who this was, of people that had come to the county shop and said, if you have excess dirt, I will take it. And we would take it to the closest location and dump it. But, that's what we did in the past, because Victor would bring that list to us, submit it, we all had it in our pack, these are the people that had said, and if I'm in that area, and he would tell us where he was taking that dirt. And there was transparency, and it was discussed.
Okay, there's no lack of transparency here.
That list didn't come to the board.
Yes, it
that
did. I had it.
Was generated, but it didn't. It stayed down to.
I had copies of it.
I never got a copy. But now to your comment in regards to that, the board has already deemed that it was okay that dirt be disposed of by you, and that it has no value.
I was under the impression
the board has already made that decision.
I based my action.
You brought it to the board and told us that material has no value, and that you wanted to remove it off the premises. And the board voted approval on that. Of course, if the board need to vote again, it will. If that's what.
Well, I want to make sure I'm understanding, because here's a lot of situations I run into, especially when we're doing drainage work, cleaning out ditches and pulling old scrap dirt that's got paper, glass, you name it, in there. But the area we're working in may have 2 or 3 residents that say, I got a low spot back here. Can y'all give me that old dirt? It's never been a problem to keep from having to drive clear across the county somewhere or find somewhere to dump this dirt, to just pull off and dump it there. As a matter of fact, when our grubbing crew was working on Sherfield Road and they were grubbing it, there was some excess dirt that was not going to be placed back into the building of that road that residents wanted, just scrap trash dirt, and we would dump it. So what you're saying is, each and every single time we give a resident a load of trash dirt that's been, we've got to.
The gist of this, I think, is to make certain that we're making certain that each time we're giving him protection is what we're doing. We're giving the board protection as a whole. And each time that something comes up, it has to be determined that there's no value. Keep in mind that it's just like if it were a vehicle. I mean, anything that's owned by the county, I think this is the way the AG's office is looking at this, is if it's owned by the county, it's got to be determined that it's surplus and of no value. And that's basically what we're saying, is this is a surplus and of no value, and I don't care what we do with it past then, as long as we have the paperwork that shows what we're doing and how we're doing it.
And can we make that determination for all the material that's on the yard right now? Because if you come out there and look at it, you can see that it's not. We just found a place where we maybe could use it in the county in situations like on Turner Road.
Well,
And
so what about, and I'm going to ask you this, remember the incident where the employees took the backhoe, the track hoe, and built their private pad?
Yes.
And you put the memo up
I did.
in the county shop that said, employees can no longer dump trash dirt on their property. Well, we didn't know that employees were dumping trash dirt on their property. So there could be some things that we don't know are going on. And this, you put that memo up on that board after that employee dumped that trash dirt on there and took the county backhoe, track hoe, and built the pad.
I put that on there after the board determined that county employees couldn't get trash dirt. That's when I put that memo up, after I brought it to the board, and the board voted that they couldn't. That's when I put it up.
Okay, would it help if we had a pile of material that had no value, that
Yeah.
didn't have value, and a pile of material that does have value?
That's a good idea.
Would that satisfy the legal aspect?
Yes,
of
sir.
it?
If he's got a lot of stuff, and to be honest with you, whether this is dirt or whatever, I don't care what we're talking about here. It's not specific to dirt as far as I'm concerned. If you've got things out there that are no value, and this board has determined that it is of no value, and you've been given the ability to do something with it, I have no issue with that. But each time we do it, we just need to spread it across our minutes to make certain that we're covering ourselves.
Rob, is there any way, because I can see where this is
I know what you're gonna say.
fixing to cost the county a ton of time. Is there any way we can determine or classify drainage work when we're digging out ditches? Can we go ahead and classify that as throwaway or trash dirt? But let me remember when we were looking for somewhere to dump, and we were doing a bunch of drainage work out at A shop. We had to haul a ton of material, trash dirt, out there to the shop area, pile it up for forever, and then come back and load it up again and take it somewhere and dump it. That was just.
They were out of room.
We were out, but it was ridiculous. It cost the county taxpayers triple up.
I think that.
Well, let me ask you this: is there a way? And I'm trying to find a happy medium. When you have trash dirt like that, can we as a county notify the public and have a public auction? And if anybody wants that dirt, bid on that pile of dirt?
Because how do you not make the perception
They may
that
get
you're
$10,000
benefiting?
for it.
I mean, you're benefiting one private entity got to come in and get dirt, quote unquote, discard dirt. Okay, but the perception is who knows what they got. I mean, that's the perception. County taxpayers, equipment loaded it up, put it in the trucks.
No, one truck. One 4-yard truck.
In the trucks, so.
And I think that'll be fine. I'll make the motion that we got a great big pile of it out at C Shop. I make the motion that we advertise for sale of excess dirt to the county, from the county.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by.
Can we charge, and we can charge, and that justifies loading.
Take bids on
Take bids,
on excess
and the
dirt from the
public's
county.
gonna decide if it's got
That's right.
value or
And
not.
county will, with the option of county to load or not load. And then we'll see what it brings. And if it brings bids, then it's a value. If it brings no bids, then it's not gonna be.
That deal.
But you still should charge something to load it.
Well, at the same time, that's neither here nor there.
It's
No,
sort of benefiting the county to get rid of it though.
It is.
And clear up.
The issue, my biggest legal issue, y'all, is not whether or not if it has value, yes, that is an issue, but it's gotta be determined. This board, and I don't know how you determine that unless you do what you're talking
Just
about.
bid it out and see what it got.
Well, I know this, and I'm not gonna name any names or no projects or nothing like that, because if we do, then we need to go to closed session.
Yeah.
But I had a gentleman that got up with me. Someone got up with me about some dirt that we had in an area, a shop, etc. Right? Wanted the dirt, and I called you, and it just smelled fishy. You know, I mean, to give him all that dirt, I thought we could use it somewhere else, or if it had value. So I kind of cut him off at the pass. You may as well say I didn't think we could just let him have all that dirt because it did have value to him or them. So I mean, but in the future, we could have bid it off and they would have probably paid money for it. I know they would have.
And therein lies
They would have paid money.
Yeah, there lies the hiccup here.
The compost at the horse farm, I don't have a license to sell compost, but I can charge to load it.
Well,
Does
the
that make
county,
sense?
I'm sorry, the county allowed this outside contractor to pile all that material on that yard. I mean, thousands of yards of it. It was pure junk with rebar and concrete and everything in it. That's how it got there.
Can't even use for field dirt. Really.
Oh, so but it's a good idea to do it that way. So
I mean,
we'll
somebody may
have
have a gully. I don't know.
Well, and that's happened to my
But
dad.
that's
He's
got,
building in Meridian.
who's
And
gonna pay
I know.
to come and have a
Gonna fill my gully in.
Yeah, who's gonna pay that?
I've had
When
a
you,
couple
when you
people
can say,
about it.
Well,
well,
we'll see.
I've got a gully that y'all can dump this if you close. I
Well,
mean,
the bid process will tell
sometimes
you,
we can get too.
is it worth $1 million or is it worth a penny?
Yeah.
Yeah, I simply worked for the county as a result of the board appointing me, so I'm gonna do whatever you say gladly. That's all I'm asking. I'm not pro or con.
What about the fish pond? What about the pond while we're on that? What was that in there? What'd that have to do
Oh,
with
they
it?
talking about this.
The other,
It doesn't involve anything that was done,
Oh,
but
okay.
just FYI.
Okay, that motion might not be a good idea because when you think about it, individuals who really need the dirt probably cannot pay for it.
Okay.
And those individuals who can pay for it are gonna be the one to acquire the material. So you got a lot of individuals out there who really need material, who has no possibility of outbidding some of the other individuals.
Well, that's irrelevant when
Right.
it comes to enforcing and upholding the state of Mississippi's Constitution, which I put my right hand up to, and it's the law.
Yeah, when someone comes in and say, I want some
Well,
trash
the
dirt.
law is what the board votes on for approval.
Negative.
That's what the law is.
Now, this is the law right there, and the AG opinion behind it.
Yeah, the AG
So, I
opinion
mean-
said that if it has value,
I can't decide who gets and who doesn't get
Keep me a
it. I
list
can
of
decide if
requests
it does or doesn't have
each month.
value.
When you come up for your road runs report,
Bring
present
it
to the board, so I got XYZ 1, 2, 3, requesting waste dirt.
When someone
And
asks
it's
for
spread on the
that,
minutes and we just deliver to them.
when they ask for that material, I take them back there and let them look at it.
That's what you do.
And ask them, what are you gonna use it for? 9 times out of 10, they walk away and don't want it. Because they coming in there thinking that they're gonna get dirt, that they can put in their yard and make it, it's not that kind of dirt, but like I said, I'm not arguing for or against it. I'm only covering myself for the past and taking action that I thought had passed the board, maybe hadn't. And so I'm gonna do gladly.
Well, that's like these bridge panels that are coming up. A lot of counties put them out for bid because hunting camps and loggers will buy those.
Oh, yeah.
There's no reason at all that we should give those bridge panels away.
Well, see, that's what we plan to do. I mean, that's my thinking.
We should always, even before, if you have bridge panels, those things bring value. I mean, people want them.
so now, bridge panels and trash dirt.
It's the same thing. It's all on the lot. It's all on his lot, and it's all got value.
And I haven't given any of that away, any bridge panels.
No, we haven't given that away.
I don't even give
I
a
think we have a
sign.
motion,
Full
we
sign.
do have a motion on the table.
To put it out for bid. Are you still having that?
Supervisor Trainer motion that we put it out for bid.
I'll second
Put it
that.
out for bid, second by Supervisor Miller. Are there any questions? All in favor? All
So,
opposed?
the question, so what we're voting on right now is this. If we're doing drainage work, and we're digging out ditches, and we're getting scrap material, with glass, whatever, in it, we've gotta haul it to our shop area, dump it, then put it out for bids and hope somebody will buy it. If not, once we get enough of it and it's in the way, then we've gotta come in and load it up again and try to take it somewhere, rather than if we're working right there at a resident and they got a ditch or something, they want it, we don't just bag that and dump that old trash dirt.
To your point, you
I
determined
wanna,
that,
I wanna make a motion, we do exactly what you said for that scenario. So that scenario won't change.
Because, wait, the seems to me like the Attorney General's opinion put it on the board to determine whether or not it has value.
but we can determine that before it's moved as well.
Okay, good deal, good deal, good deal.
As long as we're doing it, my issue is determining whether or not it has value on the front end, back end, I don't care, just as long as
So who do
it's-
we, so can we allow our road manager to
So long as we-
determine whether it has value?
No,
Well,
we have to determine that.
that's right. The
Whatever,
road manager wants to
he
determine
needs to let us know where he's gonna be working, if there's an area, I know this is complicated, and I don't know how to get around it. But he can still take it to somewhere else, so long as we determine it has no value. Y'all just have to determine whether it has value or not.
Now, is there that much fraud and stealing and stuff going on in Octavia County? If so, say
Not in
something,
the road
somebody
department.
say something.
Not that much.
I would say, yes, no, no, yes.
Something's going on.
Can I
Okay,
answer
let me
that
ask
one?
you.
I get it.
Something's going on, but it's not being
It
caught
just
up with.
depends on how you look at it.
Depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, so,
And how you classify it. Depending on how you classify it.
Was that one voted on and passed? Or whatever, was that, we done with that one?
Well, we need to vote on it.
if it gets a
Oh.
second, I mean, with his scenario.
We got a second, a friendly amendment to that motion. Friendly amendment was that it would be decided on in the field whether or not some material has value, and it will come to the board to vote on it or not, and then it will come to the board as to whether or not that material could be left on site somewhere or given to someone that'll need it.
But I have a
understand that.
question. I have a question. Let's say we go out and we dig, we've done some work on, the Maven Schoolhouse Road or something like that. We did some work on South Creek Road. We dug hundreds of yards of that material out. So do we determine whether the material is good before we dig it out?
Yeah,
Or do we have
you
to
should
dig
have
it
an
out?
easement for somebody. I mean, you should have a right of way.
In the,
Do you not have your right of way list of people in the
If we
county
dig
that
it
want it?
out, well,
In the
I didn't
right
finish
of
my
way.
question.
I see what you're asking.
I didn't
Go
finish my
ahead.
question.
Right.
Do we dig the material out and then determine that it's good, or do we determine that it's good there? Because if we don't do that, we have to leave it in people's yards and everything until we can move it. I'm just a question. I'm not fighting it.
I think when you're digging out ditches, that little amount of dirt, like Supervisor Howard was saying, instead of going all the way back to this shop, all the way back, it doesn't have any, that's not enough to have value. What I was talking about, or thinking about, what you were thinking, I mean, because I'm in the blind here, was a big old pile
It's already
of
on the
dirt,
board.
10,000 yards, somebody wants. Of course, that's got some value, especially if they're doing a project, whatever it may be. That yes, if somebody's doing a project that they're gonna put in storage units and blah, 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 blah on whatever, and that would be some field dirt, 20,000 yards of field dirt. Yes, they should bring their own equipment, use their own trucks. That's got value. Or if it doesn't have any value and it's an advantage to just get rid of it, to let them be able to get it, and you know what I mean? Whatever works better for the county is all I'm concerned about.
So in this motion, you will come before the board and let the board know that it has more value to the county to leave that material at that particular site rather than bring it to the shop.
Well, he needs to have that area, he should have a list of people in the area that want it. And he should say, okay, this month we're gonna be cleaning out this, and give us the list, the name of the person, because you've got that list, right?
Yeah, but the list is not always in the area. Sometimes we
I
work
think,
in.
doesn't the AG opinion say it has to go to the closest location?
Okay, we can do the closest location.
Yeah.
We can always do the closest location.
That little amount of dirt, if you think about it, if it's, what, 4 yards, might fit in the back of a truck. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
We're
by the
talking
time,
about material that's already on the site.
get it, put it
Already
somewhere
on
and get it
site.
gone, get to the next ditch to dig it out and keep it going.
Because, Robin, I hate to beat a dead horse, but in determining value, if it's costing the county $10 a yard to dig it out and haul it across the county and dump it, and we're gonna sell it for $5 a yard,
No value.
that's no value. So you can't just go on based on if you can sell it or not. You've gotta determine whether it's value.
Y'all can make that determination, and you're right. In my head, the way I would
That's why I
value,
say as a
if
board
it's gonna cost me,
about
Digging
what it's
ditches
valued.
out,
that's
the
where-
right of ways, I don't see any of that having value.
I mean, but you, drainage work, but then you get into grubbing work. So then I mean, we're in the same scenario with grubbing, so good example, when we did Water Well Road, we could not find anybody to take that dirt. It cost the county, cost me, out of my 4-year road plan, an extra $10,000 for Barnes Dirt to pick that dirt up and haul it about a mile and a quarter down the road to where they could dump it, a person. So I don't know, it just, sometimes, and I understand the legal part of it, but sometimes we've gotta have common sense, and we can't cut our nose off to spite our face.
if the dirt has made its way back to X, wherever X is, and it's a big old pile of it, I think that's when this clicks in.
Right.
Whenever he's out there and there is a close location where you've got garbage, dirt, and y'all, common sense tells you if it's got glass in it, rocks in it, whatever, I don't wanna say what's in it, but the stuff that's in it, then I don't think anybody, the auditor or anybody else is gonna come to us and beat us up over that. But when it ends up on our site and it's a big old pile of it, that's whenever we start having other issues with this. All of a sudden there's something, it starts having some value to somebody.
And I never, ever, and never have told anybody they can go inside the shop area and get anything. Once it's inside that shop area, I don't tell anybody you can go into the shop area and get anything. But while we're out there digging, if it's trash.
It's just such a
so
value
the next
in
level.
something.
Yeah.
It makes it, and listen, I have to stick with what the AG's opinion says from a legal standpoint. And that's gonna be my advice, but whenever there are ways for y'all to determine valueless items like this on the front end, because we kinda know where we're gonna be working. It's just that we can determine that stuff on the front end. I just need it spread on the minutes. That's what I'm concerned about, is it spread on the minutes that X ditch on so-and-so road that was determined to be valueless and it was put here.
Okay.
I need something that says it's not worth anything.
For me, it's about consistency too.
Right.
In what we do. I know we had a driveway that was paved. And the excuse was that the equipment still had stuff in the hopper. Well, all the other times we brought stuff back, but that one constituent got their driveway paved. So, we need to have consistency in what we do. Because the citizens see it, and they're the ones that call.
True.
No, we've repaved all driveways that we've done. We have, every one of them. I don't know.
Let me read back this motion. Motion to sell excess dirt for the county and determine in advance the value in the field. Is that a fair assessment of what we determined? And Mr. Trainer made the motion, Ms. Miller made the second.
Any additional questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, two separate instances. One on Taylor Road, one on 16th section. Someone decided that they could mobilize a mobile home with a tractor in both of these cases. These were large mobile homes, 18 feet wide. And they stayed on the road where they were an obstruction, shut the road down for the entire day. Okay. The road department is the last someone that's get called on these situations, and the call comes from the sheriff's department. The sheriff himself was out there directing traffic. The sheriff, not the deputies. The sheriff, as well as the deputies. They called us, and they said, this trailer is on the road, it's obstructing the traffic in both cases. And nightfall comes, someone's gonna have an accident. Now, what is the road department supposed to do? Are we supposed, you can't push, the trailer's 18 feet wide. The edge of the road might not be but 2 or 3 feet wide, which was the case, which was the truth in this case. It's not a matter of pushing that onto the right of way. I mean, you can't just turn that big structure over and let it sit on the right of way. The nearest place that we could pull it to where it was safe was to Andrew, what's the name of that road we did?
Albert Lane.
Albert Lane. The man was not taking it to Albert Lane. That was not the intended destination of that home. That was the nearest place we could get to without obstructing traffic either on Albert or 16th section. So we pulled it there, and those people were gracious enough to allow us to push it onto their property. Now, what should I have done? Should I have left that trailer out there when the sheriff's department called me and asked me to move it?
Well, the first thing is you shouldn't have waited until it became an issue with the citizens. You should have let the board of supervisors know, because when you've got ample road employees, this is taxpayers' money. This is not your money, not my money. This is taxpayers' money. And you are moving mobile homes. Yes, you hooked a traco to it.
I did.
And there were numerous employees on overtime that worked that, and they pulled it all the way down 16 Section Road. So why is it fair for us to move a mobile home for one citizen? Are we in the mobile home moving business?
If they obstruct that road.
So you mean to tell me that the house, that's not the first time we did that. Mr. Baggett did what he should have done. Because I was in Tupelo today. If something's obstructing the road, this is a mobile home that somebody, the county didn't plan this.
I didn't say the county.
We didn't plan this.
And the sheriff's department,
home or something
the
else.
sheriff told me.
It had to be removed.
I didn't take it by myself.
We didn't
I don't know
plan
what you
this.
could have done there.
It's
That's not something
it
we
had
planned.
to
And
be
I see it
removed.
as something we planned, but now, to me, he did what should have been done. And if anybody, if they want to call the auditor on somebody, call it on me. Put the auditor on me for that. For misuse of county property for clearing the road. So you call the auditor, whoever, and just tell them I did it, not authorize, and I take the blame for it. I just don't, I mean.
I fought it as long
And
as I
that's
could.
the second time we had one happen in the Rock Hill. Same, I don't know why these people do
They
this.
left it on the side of the road.
They'll move these houses and they'll abandon them, and guess who they call? The fall person, that's the supervisor. They call us about everything. And what do? We got to respond. If I had my tractor down, I would have hooked to it and pulled and took the responsibility. But I was out of town that day. But I think Mr. Baggett did the right thing. He responded, and the mobile home got moved, the guy out of the way. Luckily, the one that we moved in Rock Hill, we had to go back and discard it because we put it on somebody's close to somebody's property, and they were not. It really wasn't on their property; it was on TVA right away. But the neighboring property owner was complaining about it because they thought it was an eyesore. So we had to go back and dispose of it.
And when safety is involved, safety of the citizens, and the first responder call you and ask you to do it, I mean, what am I going to say? Who am I to say no? I'm not going to do that.
I didn't say no, but I'm just saying when you've got your own county road employees that feel like the system is being abused by what they were encouraged to do, and want to know, are they in the mobile home moving business, and why we didn't just pull it onto the right of way somewhere? Why we moved it all the way to the right down 16 Section Road and onto Albert Road? How do you justify that?
You have to move it to an appropriate place. You can. Who wants a wrecked mobile home on their property? Tell me that. Who wants it? You can't just put that on anybody's property.
And if you turn it over onto the county's right of way, you still gotta
You
come
can't
and
just
clean
put
it
that on
up.
anybody's property.
Did y'all have sheriff's officers and everybody?
Everyone was out there. They've been out there all day.
That's how they got involved. The sheriff
The
department
sheriff
called
department called us.
So did we just get it moved to,
The closest place we could.
Close place.
how far was it from where? I'm just.
Oh,
I'm gonna say
putting together.
Well, it was right there on 16 Section Road. You could see it when you were going down Old West Point Road where it was broke down. You could see the mobile home there.
you can see it from 82 probably.
Yeah, you can see it.
82, I mean, from 82,
82.
yes. You could see it from 182. or
So
whatever you
let's
call
say
it.
it was right there by, I'm gonna say it broke down probably about 500 feet south of Reverend Well Road.
Okay.
And Reverend Well Road is probably about, I'm gonna say another 750 feet from Albert Lane. And they probably went down Albert Lane probably another 750 feet.
Okay. They did what
The
they
only
had to do.
thing I
don't
can
know.
see is if
Did
if
we
it
find
had
out
been
who
a
did it?
vehicle stop,
I
the
mean, did
sheriff
we find out
department would have
who-
called the record to come get it and move it out the way. In this case, it was a mobile home, and the record couldn't move it, so the county came and moved it. And in that case, with the vehicle, you take it and tow it, and if the person wants it back, they gotta pay for it. In this case, if you know who did it,
And the county employee they're complaining about it probably weren't even out there. They probably don't even know what happened. Because I know the ones that are out there weren't complaining.
Making that overtime.
Yeah, they're making overtime. They have to make overtime.
Really shouldn't have took with one person, that's the operator.
No, it took more than that because we had to help.
Well, I mean, the sheriff department would have been doing the traffic
so
control.
so what's your recommendation, Supervisor Miller?
Yeah.
I mean,
That you
I'm
should've- that we
asking
should've
now.
just- well, first of all, how come we're just knowing about it now? It happened in September.
Because
I
you
knew
put
about
it
it
on
the day it
Facebook.
happened. They called me. I was out of town.
No,
I knew about it the day it
know,
happened.
But I'm asking, in case this happened again,
Yeah.
what is your recommendation? I'm not trying to be fun. I'm asking you what course of action should the county take?
I don't think we should pull it all the way to the residents. Look, I think we should
No,
pull it onto the
that
right
did
way.
not happen.
When you
We did not pull it to
go
the-
on 16
no.
section, there's that power
no.
plant and everything
Okay,
else.
but
There's
let's get the
lots of
facts
areas
straight
right
now.
now.
That's right.
Now that would have been fault.
We didn't
But
pull
we would
it.
have to turn around and come back.
We didn't pull it to that resident's place. I said that when I stated it a minute ago. We pulled it. Someone was gracious enough to let us put that old dump trailer. You couldn't use it anymore.
But now, had
It
I
was
been
torn
there,
up.
if I had been there, I would have pulled it to that guy's property. Because the reason being is I wouldn't want to create another problem with somebody else. And if his property was not far from it, I would have told him to go ahead and put it over there and unhook it and be done with it. Because that's the right thing to do. Because you don't want to create a problem and put a problem on somebody else.
Right, and it sounds like the county pulled it to the nearest location
We
to make
did.
it safe. But I'm asking, what is your recommendation? What should be done if this happened again? I'm asking you.
Because it's going to happen again. Oh yeah, it's going to, because people do it, people moving, they moving them pretty regular out there, Sheriff.
Can't tell the sheriff department. The sheriff department gonna want us to move it out of the right of way. We gotta do something.
It's going to happen again.
Well, as a board, what should we do?
I guess, okay, whatever we did, we moved it, right? Keep up with how much overtime. I'm not saying we get any of it back. Find out who illegally moved it, right? And charge them, whatever.
But we know we can't leave the roadblock.
No, I'm saying clean the road, do what we had to do, no different than if a tree fell in the road.
That's right.
You know, if we have a storm and trees fall in the road, we gotta clean them up. But I mean, if somebody's trying to move a trailer and halfway through 2 or 3 of the tires fall out, whatever, and it
That's
does
exactly
that,
right.
and then they abandon it.
It wasn't abandoned. They just broke down.
No,
They knew who it was.
the axles fell from under.
The axle fell from under it.
One of them, we had to drag it on the road.
Well, listen, it's good that we bring these situations to the board so we'll know. But now what do we do? When I'm asking you, what's your recommendation? Rob, Attorney Robinson?
I think the first and foremost, I need to be very clear, the safety of our roads is number one.
That's
So
right.
whatever the sheriff, if the sheriff deems it to be an unsafe scenario, we have no choice but to do something. I guess the best legal thing to do at this point then would be to get it into the most appropriate location with the least amount of
static, whatever.
problem
All
that
that.
are legal dynamic here. In this situation, it sounds like the axles came out from under it, and it would have been almost impossible to have gotten anybody else out there. Is that fair?
Actually, there was a moving company somewhere close. I was not on scene. They went and got the owner of that moving company, brought him there to see if he would move it, and he would not touch it. We had no other options in this situation. We actually
Did some pictures.
I don't know what agency it is.
That'll help you too.
We did.
It's
We
a
got
state
videos.
agency
Okay.
that we
We got-
contacted, and the guy came and met with us on situations like this. Who could be charged? How can they be charged? And that kind of stuff. The problem is their agency only deals with companies that move mobile homes,
Not
individuals.
individuals.
So if it's an individual, it's just.
Well, then you
it's
would
not
have to
us.
charge the individual, or can you?
He wouldn't. He said that they couldn't charge. them.
Because is that illegal for an individual to move a mobile home on the road? It's not illegal.
If they do it in daylight hours.
It's in good faith. They were trying to.
Well, it looked like you did a good job, Mr. Adams. You got the role
I
safe.
don't know the answer there.
I
Clear
would
the road.
request that we.
Well, that's just like somebody moving farm equipment. I mean, Friday afternoon in Tupelo area, somebody was moving farm equipment, and it did cause an accident. It's legal for you to do that. But it doesn't mean that accidents don't happen, but it's legal for them to move that trailer. My thing is, when we get in that situation, I don't think that we need to, that citizens need to feel like that the tax dollars are being abused.
I'd like to ask permission to do an AG's opinion on this, because this is honestly, this is a complicated issue. And now, this sounds awful, I don't care what the AG says, if one of my citizens have the potential to get hurt on that road, I don't care what they say, we're gonna get it out of the road.
Well, the sheriff's department was there. That
Right,
wasn't the
right.
question. That safety was not. It was how we were going to get moved. Because the sheriff's department, all the lights were on. They were out there the entire time. I drove down 82 and saw all of the lights. I mean, they were there. So that they were there.
Do I have permission to write an AG's opinion on this and just see what they
Yes.
suggest? Because I really don't, this is one of those.
Do we need to make a board order asking for that AG opinion? Or do you just
I can do it, I'll just do it.
Just do it.
What do you think the AG will come back and say? Normally they come back and say things like, if it's deemed be a unsafe situation for the citizens, then the board will make a decision as to whether or not it is feasible to move that particular item. That's the only thing really the AG says, like they said here, whether or not that material has value. Now, who's gonna decide on whether the material has value or not? It still comes right back to the board to make a decision as to whether or not we need to move that item off the roadway or not.
In this situation, I don't know how they could come back with, because you're talking about something that within 24 hours, something needs to happen. That's fair to
Something
say?
needs to happen.
I'd say then, not 24 hours, because
Right.
what if somebody, drunk
Right.
driver
Right.
hits it 5 minutes
Yeah,
later?
I mean, the board has to make a decision, which is Mr. Baggett, maybe call the board.
I don't remember seeing an answer to this in the research I did, but I may have not, and I didn't have all the fact pattern. I had some of it, but I just didn't look at it close enough. I think we need to ask and just see what they say. I got a feeling I know what they're gonna say. They're gonna say the closest, most feasible place where it will be safe. But I wanna know how we charge. Do we charge? Are we supposed to charge? I mean, how do you connect the
Well,
dots?
that's what I was saying is, it's an individual.
Yeah, but you knew where this trailer was going. They know who owns this trailer.
Right, so I was saying, so if this is the trailer, and it comes out of 2016 sectional road, then that's who the sheriff's department would charge, and we would charge for overtime, et cetera. Not to say you'd get a dime of it.
Right.
But that would be the part.
The issue's not whether or not we ever receive anything, because
That would be the chart, the person,
at least it would be a reference point for us to know how to approach it. I don't know, in this fact pattern, I don't know, even as an attorney, I don't know that I would have done anything much different other than try to move it as in a safest location I could and as cost efficient. The question I have though is, do we apply it back to this taxpayer's land if he has it, or how do we approach that? So there's several dynamics here.
Is there any way, and we have discussed this because it happens more than y'all know. Is there any way the board could come up with a county ordinance that says these things have to happen before you move it? Because the example that the guy gave us was that this guy owns a tractor and he's just helping an elderly man out move his trailer, and he pulls out on the county road and it breaks down. He don't know of any criminal charge we can charge him with, but and I'll be honest with you, I've seen them where they had one tire on each side of the trailer. Well, it's got 3 axles for a reason. One tire is not going to hold up. Now, when one blows out, we're done. We're dragging it through the county road. So I don't know if there's an ordinance that could put a fine or a penalty on it that the sheriff's department could enforce, is what I would suggest y'all looking into. I don't know if that's a possibility.
I think we definitely could put an ordinance together for moving large items like that. I mean, we require logging companies and what have you to go down certain paths.
I was just gonna say, we did hauling for damage on our roads. This is the same. I mean, it's an expense.
But that's a company, not an individual.
Yeah. This is a hard one, and
a company would get an oversized permit. They would get all that. Like if they come on 182, he would have to get that through the state to haul a wide road and that kind of stuff. But these individuals on our county roads don't have to get anything.
Right.
And then there's no penalty that we can put on them.
Well, the question's then gonna, I hate to say this, but now the question's gonna become, what is considered a large trailer? Are we talking about farm equipment? Are we talking hay equipment? Are we talking, I mean, this will get complicated in that sense. So my heart goes out to you, Mr. Baggett, for dealing. That's a hard one to deal with, and I get it.
Well,
Can you prevent?
If the sheriff's department called me, it's not a hard one.
Well, I
Just head out
understand.
there.
Can we prevent private individuals who are not licensed, et cetera, again, without getting too far in the weeds? Can you enforce that you have to be
I think so.
licensed?
You gotta catch them.
Whatever.
Well, in this case, you would call them.
In this situation, we definitely would call them.
I mean, if you see a tractor hooked to a mobile home going down the road, that should set off bells.
I'll do some more research on this. This is, but I will say, be careful what you ask for, because this can open up some other, and I just want you to be aware it can open up some other stuff.
But in Mr. Baggett's case, I think you did the only thing you could have done.
Yeah, I was scared not
was
to.
go and clear the road.
Someone gets killed, and then what happens?
Right.
They call the road manager, he wouldn't come.
Yeah. I don't know.
From a legal standpoint, I would have suggested you go as well. I would not have suggested you not go. So I want to be very clear that I'm not saying you shouldn't go. So
I don't think that was ever the question. I think the question was how far the trailer was pulled.
Oh, I wasn't pulled that far. No further we had to.
You got to a safe spot.
That's all we did. One other issue regarding safety. And I know there are a whole lot of bad roads in Octavia County. But that Maven Sturgis Road, we need to put some hot mix on that road. I did a cost, and it looks like it's gonna be about $23,000 worth of hot mix that we need to put on that road to make it safe. Not to upgrade it or anything, but there's some places, there are a couple of places that turn out that if you hit them, going 55 or 60, that's not the speed limit, I know. But if a young kid comes to there and hit them doing that at that rate of speed, they're gonna lose control. And I really need permission to do something on that road. We got some others too now, but this one is dangerous.
That's got to be the worst road in Octavia County right now.
It's a dangerous road.
And I'm in favor of doing whatever we need to do to help out on that road.
Just to get it clear, is this for maintenance or for 4-year road plan?
Maintenance.
Okay, again.
I never even asked him to go do that.
No, I haven't talked to Mr. Howard about it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Montgomery.
Mr. Montgomery.
We kind
Thank
of
you.
favor though.
You do.
Got a motion by Supervisor Howard, I believe second by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Do anyone else have anything else for Mr. Baggett?
Yeah, while we're here, and I don't know who pulled this Attorney General's opinion on this pond deal. Okay.
I did.
Okay.
I was trying to help.
Okay,
get
good
something
deal.
satisfied with what we need to be talking about.
Well, let me talk about this a little bit. Out on Sun Creek Road, the beavers dammed up an area in back of water all the way back. I actually brought pictures to the board. We got a board order to go in and relieve the beaver dam. What we had to do was when you got in there, maybe 200 yards, there's an old pond that was dammed up that emptied into a larger pond. We had to break the dam on the old pond so that it could empty into the larger pond, and then break the dam on the larger pond so it could empty. And anyway, it emptied out, got our road safe. Our beaver guy was able to go in and set some beaver traps. What we did when we broke the dam on the larger pond, that was a dam that they did upkeep on, that they would take their tractor and keep their dam bush hog and clips. Well, when we cut the dam, that disallowed them from being able to get on the dam. So my request was to go in and fix something where we cut that dam that they are able to cross and maintain that dam. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but just a way for them to cross, because actually we got to go, the beavers got it dammed up again. And so we've got to do something. So that was my request. There's a board order already in place that allowed us to go in and do this. Thing we didn't do was when we cut these people down, we left it cut. So now we've got to go in and do something.
Can you get us a copy of that? I just want to read the board order so I understand what
Well,
we're looking at.
Somebody can get it for you. Somebody research it and put it up for you.
In that board order, though, can't we put back what we did?
Yeah.
In there?
Yeah, we can, and that's what this Attorney General's opinion says, that we can go in and make these people.
We make the problem.
Right,
We can fix
the
it.
problem, we correct the problem.
Yeah.
So we made a problem.
Yeah.
We made a problem.
And it was because, and like I said, right now, we got that problem again. We actually gotta go back
Well,
in.
this beaver season, you know.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. So anyway, that's what this Attorney General's opinion is about.
So the county's going in doing beaver work, not the beaver man?
The beaver, we got the dams busted so the beaver man could go in and set traps. The beaver man is setting the trap.
What was the road name on this?
Sun Creek Road.
Sun Creek Road.
Yeah. And Supervisor Miller, you said you voted yea on it. You a yea vote on it.
Like I said, I don't remember. I just
I
want to see
know,
it.
been several things but that's what this Attorney General's opinion is about.
Since we're here, I'd like to have a motion for approval on installing a covert at 190 Turkey Creek Road. 190 Turkey Creek Road, a covert being installed.
So moved.
They already have a marker there for you. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer. Are there questions? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
be excused.
Yes, I think we acknowledge the report. If I'm not mistaken. Thank you, sir.
Motion to acknowledge.
We already did it.
done
Thank you, Mr. Bagley.
Thank you, Mr. Bagley.
Okay, moving forward. Chancellor Clerk business.
I have a couple of things. The first thing I have is to acknowledge that we had no CD for the month of
So
November.
moved.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
The second thing we have, it's time for us to, do our depository bids, so I need to order the publishing and start the daily news for that.
Motion published, offered by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
The last thing I had is I got an email from, Jeremiah Dumas for them wanting us, the board, to go in so that they can do a notification of intent to apply for the federal assistance for the smart bus. So if y'all were wanting to do that, I need President Williams to fill out the form.
Federal assistance, but no, nothing on our end.
No, they just need the city and the county to
Basically
join
say that,
in.
the basis said it's been good for the county to have
Right.
that transportation. And we checked to say it's been good for the county.
I filled out one, if you decide to do it, I have one.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer,
Second.
second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
And that's all I have.
Okay, moving forward, county business administration.
You have payroll changes in your package for approval.
Motion for
Motion by
approval.
Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Trainer. Payroll changes. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Have a right of way of Old Boy, 150 Timber Creek Drive.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
We have a final invoice on P.L. Wallace Construction. It is, for $2,789.58.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Budget amendment for the sheriff's department in the amount of $893.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? 5-0.
And budget amendment, and this is for the purchase of the vehicles, and now we're gonna start making the notes. So we need to do a budget amendment to get the money in the sheriff's budget for $823,040.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Credit card charges for November 2021 in the amount of $1,551.07.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
We have the claim docket number 498-0999 in the amount of $4,248,392.06.
Claim docket.
Move we pay the claim.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Motion carries 5-4. 4-0, that's right.
4-1.
Yeah, 4-1 is abstain. One is abstain. I believe it is.
Just some reminder dates, the state aid work session is this Wednesday at 10 a.m. The blackjack ribbon cutting has been moved to November 4th.
No, January.
February 4th, I'm
February.
sorry.
Okay,
February
February.
4th.
10 a.m. here.
He didn't give me a time on that, so I'll get, Wednesday, yes, 10 o'clock here for the state aid. I don't have a time yet on the blackjack ribbon cutting, I'll give that to you, but it is February 4th.
Harry Lee and Clyde will be here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm under the impression that, both
Okay.
will be here.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, for county business, there was an application, a grant application sent to me, that we need to go ahead and fill that out for unauthorized dumping. And apparently we have a grant already, authorized for $22,000. We just
For
need to
cleaning
fill
up,
it.
for cleanup.
Yeah, clean up. We just need to fill the application out, and I need to get that application to you if you already have it, because it came directly to me. All in favor of completing that application?
Well, I'll make the motion.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Miller. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. In addition to that, Mississippi Engineering Group. Somehow I'm getting these correspondence to be sent directly to me rather than, I guess, to the office. But Mississippi Engineering Group is requesting payment for the work that they have done on the dam. And I'm gonna bring you in. And there is a payment that is due now, and there's a past due payment. Now, somehow we need to get them paid. And of course, I pass that information on to Mr. Lois if she doesn't already have it. Now, I think the question that's been in the past is who do we pay? Do we pay Mississippi Engineering Group for the work on the dam, or do we pay somebody else? I thought we contracted with Mississippi Engineering Group, and Wagner came in as a participant. But I don't know, I don't know really who we should pay. And I think that's the question that's at hand. And Attorney Robinson, you might be able to clear that up so we can get them paid. In addition to that, I think they need to tell us too what they have actually done. Because that invoice that I've seen, it just said, we spent so many hours doing, on the site doing this, so many hours doing this, but there's no information, in other words.
The county administrator called me about this, and I told her, yes, I have seen crews out there working.
Right.
We were under the impression that we were contracting with Pickering. We later had some questions about who exactly we were contracting with. But I do think there is a pay schedule in the contract that all 5 supervisors approved the pay contract. Now, our board attorney might know the ins and outs of.
And that was one thing they were very specific about is we did contract, they talked a lot about in our meeting about how we selected this group and how we scored them. Because apparently there's a way to correctly pick an engineering group, and you have to go through and score each packet. Okay, so we weren't aware of that. So, but they also said that you could only work with the groups that were subcontracted under them. Did I not say that correctly? So, but I'm like y'all, I'm not seeing a lot of any correspondence with any county thing. I will just say that I used to get emails about everything that was coming in. I get stuff in my pack, but I mean, I'm not seeing, and certainly not seeing anything shared about the county lake levy. So,
and that's what I hate to chime in, but we need to ask them to stop sending hard copies mail to me, but to mail that information by email to each one of the board members, so you all can have information about what's going on. And they are now at phase A, phase B, what they call, but we thought phase B would give some kind of indication about determine the possibility of failure.
They did send the board a report on that first phase. The board the board received a report on what they've done.
Some of the board members did.
Everybody actually received it. Everybody got a copy of it. I remember seeing everybody copy of it.
I sent you a copy.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, at the board
copied
table. Remember, I voted no because I had not seen it yet.
But the board has a report on the first phase of the analysis. Now we're waiting on the final phase of the analysis. The pay schedule, again, our board attorney can probably lay that out.
I talked to, on Friday, when some of this popped up, I have some concerns about the way they are sending these bills in. Not that we don't owe it or whatever, that's not the question for me.
Right.
My issue, so I called William McCurcher because right now I feel like he's got us about the chin on this to make sure that we're doing it right. So I called Mr. McCurcher with MDEQ and told him how they were sending his bills, and I said, as an attorney, I'm not comfortable with the way they're doing this. I said, we had hired a engineering group to manage this. I just want it to be managed. We owe it, that's fine. But the issue I've got is we're not getting the feedbacks. William McCurcher told me, he said, you're right. He said, and each one of you have made these concerns to me as well. He said what he would do is contact Pickering, because that's who when you go back up to the food chain, he said contact Pickering, ask Pickering to have this stuff sent to them and let them manage how this is supposed to be dealt with. Whenever I did make a phone call to the older gentleman, Mr. Furr.
Jeff?
Yeah, okay.
No, not Jeff.
Carl Ray.
Carl Ray. Thank you, Carl Ray. Mr. Carl said that he'd get back with me and help me. I think that Jeff is probably going to be our better liaison.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask them to plug this into their system, because here's the big problem for us. We're being asked to check mark off everything MDEQ does. If we don't have a management team to start with to keep us straight on this, we're going to be really confused by the end of this. So I'm going to go ask them to earn their money and manage this, which I know they're completely okay with.
Yeah,
They'll be willing to do it. I think what's happened is the other engineering groups think that they're supposed to send this stuff directly to us, and when it's all said and done, we're going to end up having to pay it.
Yeah.
But I want to make certain that there is a line of who is responsible for what while we're doing it.
But wasn't Barnes Cooley Dennis the one doing the geotechnical work anyway, the drilling?
They were.
So where's Wagner coming in on this? That's what I'm so confused about, because we talked about them in the meeting. What is Wagner doing?
Barnes a consultant on this deal with the geological technical work.
They actually are the ones that did the drilling.
They the one doing that.
We have a management team that's supposed to be helping us keep this straight, and right now when we have these questions, that shouldn't be an issue. We should be able to have the ability to talk to the managing engineering group, in my opinion, and we may be sent to the secondary tier, I don't know. My main thing is I need a contact person so that when y'all have questions about something, I've got to know who I'm supposed to ask. And right now, and I have to say that we may have had a slow start dealing with MDEQ. They've actually been very helpful for me to be able to understand what we should be getting and how we're supposed to be getting it. And I think having them in our corner, which they are now, is going to help us tremendously.
And they did say Barnes Cooley Dennis were really good.
They
They
did.
said they gave them really high accolades.
The people that we're getting to do this work, I'm not hearing anything but good things from.
And they are on the list, MDEQ's list, Pickering and all of them.
So they have not been anything but complimentary as to, he did kind of scratch his head and say, this seems like an awful lot. He said, but I don't know exactly what they've done. And I kind of read him off what I could read him, and he said, well, I still don't know exactly what that means. So he said, you need to get the managing engineering group to help decipher this. So y'all's consternation toward how this is being done, from what I can gather.
If you get it today, or if Mr. Lois gets it today, can you make sure that we get a copy of those emails? And I keep saying, just send it to my Gmail, because I don't get half that stuff that comes through my county email. It doesn't seem.
But I can vouch and say that they were out there working diligently for a long time, doing a lot of work, a lot of boring, a lot of down on the inside of the levee, down on the outside of the levee. So they've done the work.
I just want to make certain that because we're going to have to turn this stuff in, as we're having to turn, we may have all the information there, and and because it's kind of coming in a little bit hodgepodge, I don't want to, I want to make certain that we're getting it all together in a reference point that my board can understand it and that DEQ will accept it. Those are my two qualifications for how I'm approaching this. And right now, we're just kind of getting a lot of, well, I would have preferred to have gotten some information before we got the bill. That's typically the way engineering is supposed to happen, but that being said, I think we can get this straightened out. I will have.
Well, since we got 2 weeks, we can get the information before
Yes.
it comes before the board and we approve it.
Absolutely. We shouldn't have an issue between now and the next, matter of fact, I've got to turn in my first things to MDEQ by the end of December. So I've got to have this stuff straightened out before the end of December anyway. So we're moving in a positive direction in a good way. We've just got to untangle how this has started before it gets too complicated.
Keep it in order.
And I don't know if some of this invoice is a lag based on what they've already done and just now sending invoices.
It is, it's a total of 3 invoices.
Okay,
I received
okay.
a phone call Thursday. and
Okay.
The gentleman was with Mississippi Engineering, but
Right.
I knew Pickering was out there. That's
they
when I
were- yeah.
called you to kind of get clarity.
And won't our ARPA funds cover that too in the end?
I think that if we get qualified for how this is done, we can, look, this may turn out to be a wonderful, wonderful thing if we can figure out a way to make this happen. I'm a little bit less, when you look at this in terms of it being a funding source that is not y'all's standard funding source, it's helping out tremendously if we can make that happen. Having this a visitor, a way for us to get this paid for, that's a good thing. That being said, it's very confusing getting a bill that isn't going through our.
But we already paid for the first section.
I'm not sure I'm not sure what this is. That's why I'm a little bumfuzzled here. So, nor did, for argument's sake, William McCurcher at MDEQ. That's the reason I called him.
So one thing I can say, William McCurcher, we had a great meeting with him, and he is on board. But what MDEQ did do was lay us out a timeline that, listen, you've had a long time, and it's, time to not drag your feet. This is what you got to get done. And they laid out some timeline, so it's not like he is on our side, but he is saying, listen, it's time to get this done.
There's a carrot and a stick.
Exactly.
Well, and I think that's the reason too they were out there during the drilling. I mean,
Well, they were out there for a couple of days, yeah.
they were out there and watched each, they stayed out there the entire, William himself was out there.
Sure was.
So, pretty impressive.
Supervisor Howard, do you think it might be time for some representative from the engineering firm to address the board in some kind of way?
Yeah, if the board would like, because here's the deal. I would like to make sure that we are comfortable. When the recommendation hits the table and says, this is what you've got to do, I want to make sure we're comfortable. That's why we decided to stop with who we were with and go this route and proceed in this direction, so that I think this board agreed that at the end of this process, we were going to move forward with once that recommendation. So whatever the board needs to do to make sure they're comfortable along this process, let's get them in here, and so we can ask questions. So when time comes,
this will be the third payment, I believe. We're up to now about.
Well, but Mr. McCurcher also said that he needs a copy of all those reports. And so that, it almost would be good if he came to the same meeting or knew when the engineering group was coming, so he could sit in here with them. It would be my recommendation to have them all in the room at the same time. And that way, it's not a he said, she said, because he did say that he needs to be getting all these reports as well.
He is depending on me to get everything from now until I'm going to be busy accumulating things that are going to be kind of confusing.
It would be good to have, like you said, Supervisor Williams, to have both, maybe here next board meeting.
My concern is that I've seen the bill, but I haven't seen the report.
For the first phase,
For the first phase.
yeah, but
They'll send us a bill for 2 more phases. A bill, but no report. Yeah, so I guess that's why I would think that it's time for them to tell us something.
I would say contact them and have them scheduled to come to
All
the
right.
next board meeting.
But both groups, MDEQ and Pickering.
Correct.
You got that?
All right. Let's move along.
You got all that?
Mr. McCurch is not gonna approve anything unless he's comfortable with the process.
Right.
So, if he approves it, then things have been done according to that process.
All right.
Moving forward, county business, opera fund administrator. Now, it does seem that it's time for us to appoint someone to help manage this process. I don't know whether our county administrator will have enough time to take us through the process, and we're probably gonna miss something if we don't have some funds
I
administrator.
thought we hired, planning development group.
Well, we haven't hired them yet. We heard from them, but we haven't.
Okay.
We had 3 possibilities.
Okay.
So we do need to make a decision about between those 3 possibilities, how we gonna move forward, who we gonna move forward with.
I suggest you use all 3. Divvy it up 3 ways, let all 3 of them do it.
Well, we might, we never got a firm number from some of them, what the cost was gonna be. And we have been working with some of the groups before, which I like that idea. And they are locally invested, so I like that idea, but we didn't get a firm number.
Well, I thought that it would be a good idea to have, our local group to come back for a second
PDD.
time. But we did get a firm number, price from the other 2. What percentage would they charge?
We need to know from them, like you said, put it in their court if you want to do it. We need to know, like you're saying, and you asked that first night what the percentage was.
And he didn't.
He never would say.
He never would say. He never would say.
So, if we could maybe contact, and I mean, I'm asking Mr. Lois if you could contact the PDD and say we need to know at our 19th meeting what your percentages are, what your fees are, because that's what's going to determine who we pick.
Can we invite up all of them back?
Yeah, interview them. I don't have a problem with that.
We did talk about that, and what I was told was it's hard to determine the fee because you don't know the project. Some projects may be a little more tedious than others.
Yeah.
So.
He know the percentage.
But there was a guy, he came in here and he didn't have a problem saying a flat fee. 2.5 or 1.5
per project.
And he had no problem saying.
No, he didn't give me a.
I mean, they can give a percent. He can't give the amount, but he can give a percent of the project.
And one of my concerns is, like Orlando said, whomever we hire, can they handle, if we decide we wanna do 10 projects out of this ARPA money,
Can they handle
all 10, or do we need multiple individuals, companies to
You
handle?
want to give each group, like you say, 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes? Don't go crazy with an hour-long presentation.
Yeah.
Tell us what you can do, what you can't do.
I'd like for each one of them to send a contract before, so I can look over the contract while.
Yes.
I mean, I don't care who you use, I'd just like to have a contract on the front end.
That way you know what
That's
you're
good.
looking at.
I like that.
No, there's a lot of legwork.
Let them know
Give a
that.
contract or asking them to come back? What do you want?
Well, both, but we need a contract before.
Bring a contract with them?
No,
Send it
email
prior.
before the meeting.
Prior to the meeting.
You put that much in front of them, they'll show up.
If they want it, if they don't, then we
If
just
they
work
don't,
together.
they didn't want it anyway.
So they will present a contract beforehand, and they'll appear before the next board meeting.
I just want y'all to know what you're getting for your money, whatever you're doing.
Correct.
Lots of people wanting to do this.
A lot of people want to do it.
Everybody coming out the woodwork. But the
I can
thing
manage
is,
your money for you.
if it's not done right, we're gonna have to pay this money back.
State auditor doesn't take, he takes,
Get someone with
he
a
doesn't
track
care.
record, a proven track record. Okay, moving forward, county business, bridge panels, we discussed that already, but.
I make a motion, we advertise for the disposal of old bridge panels.
Motion by Supervisor.
Put them out for bid, right?
Put 'em out for bid.
Put them out for bid.
Where are we gonna put them?
Second by Supervisor Howard, all in favor, advertising.
So
Put
we
out
just,
for
Where,
bid.
are we gonna
just
put them on
to see-
gov.deals or where? Where are we gonna put them?
All
Because I
avenues.
have people asking.
All avenues. I mean, because we want to get the biggest bang for our buck, right?
So how do I
Website,
know,
gov deals, paper,
Mr. Lois, can you
okay.
tell us where you put
I'm
them?
good with that.
I will.
And that way, because I have people asking me about that all the time.
I mean, all
Hunting
avenues.
camps and farmers and stuff. I
But the
need to
intent
tell
is we
them.
want to make some money off them, right?
Right.
That's what the intent is.
So do we have to set the value on them, or do we just bid them?
Well, they bid.
Remember when the
bid
other
was
issue with the bridge panels came up, we had to determine a value.
We determined the value at that time because of no one had, at this point, the free market's gonna end up.
Okay,
Yeah, this
so
is a
we
bidding
bid.
process.
Yeah.
Okay.
The market will determine.
But you still got a historical trend from that, right?
We do.
Well,
We
you
do.
probably got a little inflation, and I'm sure it'll be higher than that, so you know.
I'd love for some, well, never mind, I'd love to see them get a good little pop on those things, because they're.
Well, they do, and then the Delta, they bring a lot of money.
Somebody may come up, get them all, you know.
That'd be
All
good.
in
How many do
favor?
we have?
Motion carries 5-0.
How many we got?
There's at least 4 or 5.
How long are they?
How long are they?
long, 45 to 50 feet.
Well, we need pictures and everything else. I mean, if you're gonna put them out there for bid, you need description and pictures. If you put them on that gov stuff, and you need a deadline.
Garbage truck turnaround on Otho Road. We'll have to have a garbage truck turnaround on that road because of where the garbage truck turned around, they built a house right in that site. They do realize, the property owner does realize that they need to sign an easement agreement to allow for the garbage truck to turn around. I have been in communication with the property owner there, and hopefully we can get an easement agreement and make that happen. Now, when it does happen, is the county gonna be responsible for that, or Golden Triangle Waste Management reimburse us for?
Is this a 911 road or is this a private? I mean, is this a
It's
county?
county road.
This is a
It's
county road?
right. County road.
How much difference is it between this and just a bus turnaround? I mean, you're just talking about a little gravel and maybe a pipe or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's it.
So I don't think it'd be too difficult. I make the motion, we go ahead and authorize the creation of the turnaround.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer,
Second.
second by Supervisor Howard, authorize the garbage truck turnaround on Otho Road. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
I'd also like to make the motion that we reappoint Mr. Brad Spencer to serve on the Regional Solid Waste Management Authority Board.
Second that.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Montgomery, reappointment of Brad Spencer. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
I'd like to also make the motion we approve travel to the NACO Legislative Conference in February.
Motion by
Second.
Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Approve travel. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
I have one thing.
Okay.
I have one thing too, if
I got
whenever.
one. I got one thing too.
Let me know when y'all want me to go.
You go ahead with yours.
All right, real fast. I was contacted by one of the assistant attorney general people, and this is tied to that opioid assault
Lawsuit.
Thank you. Anyway, they're asking us to sign off on a memorandum of agreement, of understanding. What this amounts to is the state of Mississippi has filed a suit on this opioid, easy for me to say. And the county would receive approximately $250,000. I'm not putting exact numbers on this because it could be more, it could be a little less. They have said that they are initiating this on behalf of the state of Mississippi and all of the counties that did not file with someone else. So we never got around to filing with anyone else. My advice to you guys, or the board, would be to go ahead and sign off on this. This is not costing us a nickel.
Well,
to
we
do.
didn't because we knew the state of Mississippi was gonna
Right.
do this.
Right.
That, we
I
had other
heard
people
rumors
come.
that was a possibility. Just so you're aware, it sounds to me like we're getting about the same kind of money that we would have gotten had we had signed up with someone else. After discussing this with them last week, I told them that this was my board's decision as to what happened here, and I could not tell him either direction. However, I would encourage y'all to, I mean, y'all, this is basically free money.
3 months.
Anything else.
Kind of like finding it in the road, ain't it?
This is found money. I would ask for permission for that our board president be allowed to sign this memorandum, assuming that y'all are in favor or okay with doing this.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Miller. All in favor, the board president signing off on it. All in favor? Motion carries 5. Supervisor Miller, you have.
Yes, well, I actually have two small things. One thing is there's a church sign that, and I'm not sure about all of this, but a lady bought the corner of South Montgomery and South Ridge Road right there. And is it Mount Zion church sign? Is that which one it is?
Mount Olive.
Mount Olive church sign.
Thank you.
So do we give permission for churches to put signs in the right of way? I mean, can they put church signs in the right of way?
It's suggested that they be on private property.
Okay. So, and that's what I told her. I said, I don't think we give permission to put church signs in the right of way. If it's on your private property, you need to move it with the church. I'm asking, am I correct in what I said?
I think you're correct, exactly correct in what you said. And the years that I have been involved, we have never authorized a sign.
Not even political signs
Right.
shouldn't be on the county right.
Okay, so I'm just clarifying that because she had called and she has bought that corner lot and I explained to her it was so many feet from the center line, you know, for the right of way, and that she would have to work with, who's it, Tyrone Allen? Who is that church?
Tyrone Scott.
Oh, it's the preacher down there.
Oh, it's New Zion.
Huh?
New Zion.
That's what
New Zion, mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Is that the big sign, or you talking about the marquee?
It's the one that, no, it's just on her,
little small
that's on
one.
that, on her lot. On that corner, she bought that corner lot of South Montgomery and South Ridge. So I just want to clarify, I'm telling her the correct thing.
Right.
But if it's private property, she can work with them to do whatever, she can remove it.
She can remove
If
it.
she's, yeah, okay, all right. The other thing is, the people in Sturgis that had the, Veach, that had the BMW museum, she used to run the, Vetch, yeah. Had the image, the BMW museum and the dealership. They actually went back and zoned their property, good taxpayers, commercial in the center, okay? And then paid private taxes around it. Now they have sold their business and they just using that as a shop for a garage. They also had an industrial waste dumpster out there, so they were paying 3 garbage bills for the shop, for the house, and an industrial dumpster. It was on 2 different meters because it was a business and a private building. Now it's all just private, but it's still on 2 different meters. They're going to turn the dumpster back in, but they want to get 1 garbage bill. How do we handle this? I mean, they were actually honest enough to divide it out and pay taxes correctly years ago and things like that. And they actually had the meters on separate things because one was a business, but now that they have sold the business and sold all the motorcycles, it's just a storage shop.
So do we need to wait on the tax assessor's office to reclassify the property?
Well, that's for taxes. So Mr. Morgan called them and talked to them about that, and this is strictly a trash bill. So what he's asking is, he said, Brickley, there is 2 meters, and the only reason there were 2 meters is because we kept our business separate from our personal. Well, now that we are retired and we have sold the business, we're just using the metal building as a personal storage shop. You know, it's just like a barn. But there are 2 meters there still, and they want to get 1 trash bill, and they're turning the dumpster. They also were paying for a commercial dumpster, which will expire the end of this month, and they are turning it back in. So they are asking us to take the steps to make sure they only get one trash bill.
I think
What
you
do we
make
need to do?
that- You make that recommendation to Golden Triangle Planning and Development to Jennifer.
Can I do that?
Yeah, you can call her and say, hey, they've sold this, they no longer own this, and she'll update it immediately, yes.
Okay, all right, I didn't know what I needed to do, so I was just
But
letting y'all know.
And she might say, well, as long as there's 2 meters, I'm sending 2 bills, cause now
Yeah.
I think she'll work with you.
I'm telling you now,
as long as there's electricity on it or water.
Well, I guess he would just have to get that meter changed into his name, switched over from no?
How many buildings do you have?
Power from the house to the shop. Now, this is what they did for us. If you run the power from your house to your shop, so you only get one bill.
You only have one
for
bill.
electricity, then you only get one garbage bill. But if you have a separate meter for your shop,
Okay.
as opposed for your home.
Well, they were just trying to do everything legal and right. That's how they are, the taxes and everything, so.
You're right.
All right, so I'll call and see what they need to do. Okay, that was my 2 things.
Just to be clear, you'd be dancing electricity at both of those buildings.
Yeah, but it's no longer a business, you know, like before it was a business, but now they've retired, they sold all the motorcycles out of there. And it's just, they retired, and so he's wanting, he wants to put his garbage can back in and all that good stuff. Okay.
Jennifer being rude to customers down there.
I got something.
All right, what you got?
All right. Tell me when you're ready.
John's ready.
All right, so I'm putting this to a vote because of different people asking us as a board. They want to know our opinions on it. We had Mr. Chick and Mr. Warner came, but on the advice of multiple fire chiefs, multiple personnel, they want to vote. So my motion is to dissolve the training position with Austin Check and leave that to our fire coordinators to how they want to include that into his position. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Dissolve the training position. So
And put it into the fire coordinator's position as to how they want to handle it. Do they want to get subcontractors? Does he want to do it? Do they?
The fire chief, you mean?
The fire chiefs, whatever they want to do.
That means
they want to vote.
They have no
Bottom
longer
line.
have any use for Austin Check then.
Correct.
Austin Check would not. In other words, we voted to dismiss Austin Check, because he wouldn't have a job.
Well, we're putting that into the fire coordinator's position like everywhere else. Yes, that's my motion.
The motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Miller, that we dissolve the fire training position. Any questions? No question, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 3-2. 3-2. Supervisor Williams and Supervisor Howard voted no. Okay. Do you have anything else, Supervisor Montgomery? Any other board members have anything else?
I have one other thing I hate to do this now.
Oh, that's okay. Attorney Roberts?
What was I supposed to, there was one other thing
Sharon did. The one I asked you about,
Yeah.
Sharon did.
Okay, never mind. Let's move on.
Okay, one other thing, the, Green Home Solution, I have the estimate in your package where he can come back and treat this courtroom next door, and when he gave his report, he was telling us about the court doors being closed and no air circulating. This is the estimate. Do y'all want me to move forward with telling him to treat, it's just for that courtroom now?
Question, could this be something, in your opinion, COVID ARPA money that we could?
I say we turn.
I say yes.
Yeah, I mean,
With
it's
air quality.
Air quality.
you take everything that you think and just apply it, to that when you get to that point. Because I mean, I'm sure you keep record of all that.
But when we start talking about that ARPA money, don't you have to have it approved before you start spending it?
Yeah. Only thing we can do is
I was asking.
I mean,
but it won't go from it.
I was asking.
I'm saying, I guess we could pay for it and then try to
that's what
recoup, but we can't dip into
that
a
fund.
project.
I do have one other thing, y'all. I'm sorry.
Am I moving forward with telling him to come and do this?
I mean,
I would say yes, because this is going to be something that could really be a great undertaking for the county if we don't do it. Because if we don't do it and we have an issue or something, then it can come back to really bite us.
That's because the public knows.
And I gave
Perception.
Mr. Morgan, a copy of his bond, and I sent that to him, and I had a conversation.
That's why I look at that. I mean,
I think just for peace of mind for employees, we've had the inspection done, and now we've moved forward to do this. I think.
What the attorney will say? Well, did you all do something? Well,
yeah.
And you had
make a good point there.
Even got a bid on it.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Montgomery, that we move forward with that estimate.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. There is something in the package also about anyone who wants to be Mississippi Association of Supervisors, Office of Director. There's an application to fill out and turn in. I think you have until December the 20th to get your application in. Everybody saw that in that package?
Yes.
I've got something, and this for our board attorney when we get. The mayor of Maben has come to me and requested that we not install any more culverts inside the city limits of Maben unless the request comes from the town of Maben. Because they want to make sure that the people are coming and getting it approved through the town before and then the town will send a request to install a culvert. No more going straight to the county for a culvert installment.
Well, I commend them for taking those steps and taking that action. That's awesome.
Well,
there's a motion.
Yeah.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second Supervisor Trainer. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
If y'all haven't been down to the little town of Maben lately, you need to go too. They're doing big things down there. Looks good. All the shops and stuff. It really does.
One more.
Okay.
What you got?
One more thing. I know y'all are tired. The governor has to do a resolution allowing us to do a county court. I have been requested by our judges, I won't say who all, but our judges, to ask this board to first of all, ask what your opinion is. We really don't have a choice. We have to move forward with the county court. We're over the 50,000 threshold.
Not our call.
My question for y'all is, would y'all be in favor of doing a resolution and sending it to the governor, requesting him to go ahead and get this done? The reason I want to do it is to cover us. If he doesn't do this, it's on him that he didn't do it. I just want to cover us to say that we know that we are supposed to do it. We're crossing all the things that we need to do to make sure that we're complying with what state law is, and request the governor to allow us to do a county court. And the reason we need to do it now is if this is going to be elected by next November, then folks got to get ready to do this. They got to get notified.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Miller. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. We got to do that.
All right.
When's our next
anything
meeting?
else or nothing else we'd like to reschedule for the next board meeting?
Make a motion, we recess to Wednesday at 10. Is it Wednesday or
Wednesday at 10 o'clock.
Recess Wednesday at 10.
What's the 8th?
That's 8, Wednesday at 10.
Our meeting's at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, the one with Harry Lee James and State Aid.
8A workshop.
Got to stay.
Can we be done by 10:30? I can be across the road to another meeting.
Yeah, we can be.
All in favor? Motion carries.
I doubt if we'll be done by 10:30.
Hey, well, I'm gonna come for a few minutes and then I got to leave.
Motion for recess.
Yeah, recess meeting.
Well, we won't be done with the meeting, but I think
Trainer,
the second will be
second by
good.
Yeah.
The next meeting will be what, the 20th at 5 o'clock, 5:30?
No, the 20th, you're right.
The 20th?
It ain't over about the
20th? Can we start it at 4 o'clock since we're gonna have all these presentations?
Yeah.
Or is 5 instead of 5:30?
Okay, we're trying to make a decision. It's okay with me, 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
4 o'clock is good. for me.
I'm sorry, on the meeting on the 20th, can we start at 4? Because it looks like we got a lot of
Let's
stuff
start
that's
at
gonna be
9.
on the agenda.
Let's start at 9.
Let's go to
No, I
9.
can't do 9. I can't do 9. Some of us are still working, Supervisor Howard.
Well, just soon as we
Yeah,
can.
but
But
Yeah, soon as we can.
that's
We
not,
can
that's
go at 3 if you want to.
Can we do 3?
Y'all pick whenever. I'm here whenever. I'm an old
Yeah,
tired.
3.
3 is good. 3 is good.
I had a problem with it.
I won't.
3 p.m. on the
Wednesday
20th.
after.
3 p.m. on the 20th.
Is that work? Yeah, that's good. Yes.
Next board meeting, 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock on the 20th.
Okay.
All right, but we still coming 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Wednesday.
Hey, I have to be at, with my financial advisor, my annual thing at 10:30, so I'm gonna come for a quick listen.
You got to work with. I ain't got to like you, but you got to do it.
I'm asking you what.
He kept confusing me. I'm tired of it. I already made my mind.
All right.